Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto becomes the new Kyubbi, part 5. Subscribe if you enjoy the video. Let's start the story. When the three women arrived back at Wave Country, they all sweat dropped and had one thing on their mind: Naruto. Why do you ask? A bridge that should have taken 2 months to build took 1 week. Apparently Mass Cage Bunshin speed things up. The great hopeful hero's bridge was finished. 2 weeks later Tsunade drew the seals on Naruto for the Sozo Saisei, Genesis of Rebirth, and explained how to do it so he could start storing chakra there though. Instead of a diamond, Tsunade drew 9 tails spiraling around the center on his forehead. 1 month after the bridge was built, Dan and Nawaki arrived with 40 people to help with the new village. Flashback. Naruto was outside working with his Cage Bunshin building new homes, while the citizens of Wave helped with the construction of the hospital. It took 2 weeks for Tsunade to agree with everything she wanted in this hospital. Naruto felt a few chakra signatures approaching the new village. It was decided that the hidden village would be built away from the city Tazuna lived in by about in half an hour away for civilians. 5 minutes for Ninja. Naruto stopped working while his Kage Bunshin continued to build homes and a few stores that were currently empty. As he went toward where the front gate had been built, though no walls had been put up, yet he saw a group of around 40 people. 30 adults and 8 children and 2 people he recognized. He smiled at creating a Cage Bunshin and sent it toward where the hospital was being built and said, "So Dan, Nawaki, how's it going?" Dan stepped forward and said, "Hello Naruto. It's good to see you again. Allow me to introduce a few people that I am looking for a chance to start a new life with. These people are from the village of Seawave on the border of Cloud Country. Gato came through there about a year ago and did his thing, so when we arrived and told them about you dealing with Gato and starting a new village, they wanted to come and start a new life here. All of them are either merchants or store owners." Naruto, who looked like he was 15, smiled and said, "Hello everyone. My name is Naruto Namikaze, but don't let my age and look fool you. I am the leader of this village, though it is still being built. We have nearly 500 people already set to come here, with around 25 already here, and I am just trying to get some homes and stores built before more arrive. There are a few that are here already and they have the houses that are finished and have a nameplate put on the front of the house. Everyone is currently either working here in the village or at the one you just came through, helping build the new hospital that will help with the area. We plan to build an emergency hospital here with a clinic for minor colds and things like that once we get enough trained medical personnel. Until then we are going to use the hospital in the next town. If you would like to tell me what your business skills are, I can help you get the layout of the village so that your businesses will grow and be prosperous. One key to having a profitable business is location." The tall man stepped forward and said, "My name is Trent and I am a blacksmith. This is my wife Elaine, my brother Alan, his wife Deborah, and their son Corey." Naruto nodded and said, "Okay, are you a general blacksmith or weapon maker?" Trent said, "Both." Naruto nodded and said, "Okay, you would want to be near the training grounds that are to be built, but also close to the main gate so people leaving the village would come and resupply, so I would think you would be happy about a block up." The clone appeared and Naruto said, "If you follow this clone he can show you the buildings we have there and just choose the ones you want with or without residents added to them." Trent asked, "How much is this going to cost us first?" Naruto sighed and said, "The standard deal that we are offering everyone is this. For a standard business building you pay $40 a month rent plus whatever utilities you use for 10 years. After 10 years you have the option to continue to rent or buy the location for $5,000, so a business building will cost you around $10,000 in total at the end if you chose to buy. If you want one with a residence already added on, then it will cost you $65 for the residence business for the 10 years and $7,000 to buy at the end of the 10 years. If you don't want your home and business to be in the same location, all homes are $30 a month with $3,000 after 10 years to build, so you see we give a discount for having home and business together to save space, but some people like more privacy, so we give that option also. Now there is a standard tax paid on every person in the village of $5 a year that goes toward paying for the schools, hospitals, protection of the village, and helping keep the city beautiful, as well as the daily cost to keep the village running smoothly. That's it." Everyone was standing there gapping at him and he asked what. They all looked at each other and said, "Where do we sign up?" Naruto smiled and said, "Well, just keep telling me what your businesses are and then I will help you choose a location. Most stores and businesses are not done, but once you pick the ones you want I will have my clones and others who are working in the village work on finishing them first, and you're more than capable of helping since it will be your homes and business. Though the first month is free to help you get yourself set up and your 10 years start next month." After about 30 minutes of getting everyone set up, Dan looked at Naruto and asked, "So where's Tsunade?" Naruto smiled and pointed behind Dan and Nawaki, and they both turned to see 2 women crying with a clone of Naruto who went up in smoke, and Nawaki screamed, "Sis." as he ran up to her and gave her a hug, though he looked around 22, as did Dan, as Dan walked over slowly and said hello niece, Tsunade Haim. Shizune hugged her uncle, happy to see him alive, and then shook hands with Nawaki, having only met him when they were in the academy once, and he was 2 years older than her, or should have been. Dan looked at Tsunade and she jumped into his arms, letting tears of joy steam down her face, and she looked at Naruto and said thank you. Naruto said, I protect my precious people and want to see them happy. All of them. Knowing Tsunade knew the hidden meaning as he turned and started to work again. Once he was a few blocks away, a voice said that was nice Narakan. As he felt a pair of arms circle him, Naruto turned and kissed the woman who was holding him and said I love you Nan. As they stood there holding each other. Flashback end. 2 months after the bridge was built, the Wave Hospital and the civilian school was built and opened, with Tsunade being the head of the hospital and Nawaki the head of the school. 1 month later, the first ship of refugees from the mist arrived. Turns out the plans for a mass move did not turn out as planned, though the first ship did have nearly 150 people. Luckily, in the time after the bridge was built to that point, enough homes had been built, along with a few more merchants arriving to set up business. At this point the village had nearly 300 people. 3 months later it became official. The village hidden in the waves was officially announced to the people of Wave with the election of the first council. 2 months later, the day Naruto had been waiting for arrived. Naruto was in the Namikaze Tower reviewing the layout of the village and the construction of new homes, as well as the records of those who wanted to be ninja. He sighed, rubbing his eyes, and he heard a voice say, you know that someone told me that using Kage Bunshin makes paperwork go faster. Making him look up and get wide-eyed as he sees his father standing there with his mom laying her head on his shoulder and smiling at them. He was about to say something when the door opened and Nan came in with her back, pushing the door open and saying, sorry I took so long Narutoken. I was teaching the basics of tree climbing to all who have been ninja elsewhere before leaving. Hope you're hungry. As she turned holding a couple of takeout meals. She stopped and got wide-eyed at the sight of the 2 people in Naruto's office and said hello Mr. and Mrs. Namikaze. If I had known that you were here I would have brought more food. When did you arrive? Kushina looked at her and then at Naruto, raising an eyebrow, and asked, who is this Naruto? Naruto said, Mom, Dad, I would like to introduce you to Nan Uchiha, my girlfriend. Minato looked at her and said, I thought Itachi killed the rest of the clan except Sasuke and Madara. Nan looked at Naruto, who nodded, and she said, I did. Making both wide-eyed, and Kushina turned and said, explain. To Naruto. Naruto sighed and Nan said, the truth is that I was born a female and made a Jinchuriki for the Rakubi. My father made me use Tsunade and then made my life hell. I killed them after I tried to leave my clan, and my father had my best friend try to kill me, but not before he tried to rape me. My father, after he found out I killed my friend, had me locked into the Uchiha prison by my entire clan, but Sasuke, and then they dragged me in front of Sasuke and my father like I was a common criminal. That was the last straw, and after all the hate and pain I suffered, I killed them all. Naruto came across me, faked my death, and gave me a cover story and learned who I was and what we had in the future. Minato rubbed his chin and asked, what do you have in the future? And Kushina screamed, you had sex with my son. As she realized who she was. Before Nan could blink, she and Kushina were out of the office and she found herself tied to a tree and unable to use chakra, and Kushina said, me and you are going to have a nice long talk. Nan paled and said, it's not the talk about sex, is it? Tsunade already explained it when she told me all about periods. Kushina paled and said, you poor child. Having heard Tsunade talk when she explained it to all those years ago. Flashback ends. After a woman-to-woman talk they got together really well, having learned how hard her life was. A few days later came the day Naruto was dreading. Flashback, Naruto laid on the floor of a ceiling room in the hospital. Around the circle was Tsunade, Minato, Kushina, Nan, and Angel. Angel said, are you sure you want to do this? We can always take option B. Naruto looked at her and said, Angel. I have always fought to protect those I care about, and even though me and you have often not gotten along, I do care about you as one of my precious people. Kami gave you a job to do, and now that it's done you deserve some rest. I will call you for important and unimportant things like seeing how each other are doing, but I want you to have what you wanted for nearly 30 years. Your freedom. You can say that you have been freed since we came back, but you and I know that this has been a prison without walls. You have given me everything I could hope for and given me back the woman I love, as well as my family. I don't want you to keep having to suffer, so please accept this. Angel looked down and said, alright kid, but when you go against Akatsuki and Orochimaru you had better call me to help and call me for the wedding also. Making Naruto and Nan both blush. Angel looked at Nan and said, you had better take care of him or I will break all laws and come back and take you out. Nan said, I won't do what Sakura did to him. Angel said, speaking of. Nan smiled and said, say no more. Naruto said you can hurt her, but don't kill her. I may hate her, but she was a friend. Angel nodded and said remember, when you summon me, call me by the name Angel, and I will appear in my human form, and call me Kyubbi, and I will appear in my 9 tails form. Naruto nodded and Minato said, are you ready, Naruto? Naruto nods and they begin sealing the new seal on him while breaking the old one. After 25 minutes it was done and he passed out. Angel said well this is goodbye for me. Take care and call me if you need me. And she disappeared in a puff of smoke. Then flashback, Naruto sighed as he looked at the mission report on what happened on the last mission he sent his father, along with Kisame, Zabuza, and Anon. Flashback, Minato sighed as he looked at the 3 people who had joined him and said so what exactly are we supposed to be doing on this mission? Naruto said we were to research the Fuma clan. Nan sighed and said, how the hell did you become the Hokage anyways with you always forgetting stuff? Minato said hey, sue me. Nan shook her hands trying to control her emotions and said look, from what Naruto knows Orochimaru is going to try and have the Fuma clan join him in sound since it should be building soon, so he wants us to try and get them to come with us instead. Minato nodded and said I don't get it. Nan leaped forward trying to get her hands on Minato only to be held back by both Kisame and Zabuza. Funny thing is they were both being dragged along slowly, but they were being dragged. A few moments later Minato yelled hey, what's the hold up? You're all too slow. Nan blew her top and 6 tails popped out of her tailbone, picking both men up and carrying them as she chased the laughing blonde in front of her. After about an hour they arrived at the village where the Fuma clan was and they heard shouting. Looking at each other they nod and walk toward the direction the shouting is coming from and hear shut the fuck up you fucking cowfuckers. And all 4 looked at each other as all of them had the same person pop in minds and they looked around the corner and saw a 12-year-old girl screaming at some kids and they shook heads as they confirmed it. Just then a little orange red-haired girl walked up to Taiya and said Taiya, you should watch your language before the elders get upset. You know that they are meeting with Orochimaru-sama. Nan narrowed her eyes along with everyone else and Taiya said, I don't give a flying fuck what that snake bastard is here for. He should go back to his hole and jack off to whatever he calls a dick. Nan snickered a little and stepped back a little, tapping the other 3 and said look, if Orochimaru is here, then we can't go against him yet without screwing up the future too much. We can, however, go home with another recruit. Minato said hell no. You're not bringing that girl back to the Wave Village. Nan said payback's a bitch and walked around the corner where Taiya was punching a building and said hey Taiya. Taiya asked what the fuck do you want? Nan said, how would you like to blow this place up and start a new life? Taiya said not interested. Nan said really, here I thought you would like a chance to rub it in your elder's face and show them you were better than they were for joining Orochimaru. Taiya stopped and looked at Nan and asked how do you know what he's here for? Nan said, it's simple. He is looking for people to experiment on and to be his own little slaves. He promises everyone power and when they learn the truth about what he does he kills them. It's what he always does. Taiya is quite a moment and Nan turns and walks around the corner and the door to the city hall opens up and Orochimaru steps out and says it's good to see you have all agreed to join me. I promise you I shall make you the strongest clan ever. Ha 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 ha. Taiya shook her head and ran around the corner and saw a man leaning against a wall with 3 men leaning across from her and she said I will come, but you promise you will help me show them their mistakes. Nan smiled and said count on it. Then flashback. Naruto smiled as he finished the new seal he invented. It will make it, as long as a certain someone is still in the village walls, any swear words she says are automatically muted. Now how the hell does he get it on her, as he wants to cry. Finally the first year was over for the new hidden village. Today there was a party, but first Naruto walked out on the balcony of the Namikaze tower and looked at all the people gathered below and said people of Wave. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the founding of this village. A lot of things have happened since that day. We removed the tyrant from power and seized all his assets to help the country recover and to prosper. We built the Hopeful Heroes Bridge connecting us to the Fire Country, allowing us to be able to trade quicker and for more things than we were ever able to do before. We opened a trade alliance with a very prosperous spring country and had over 1,000 people from the land of water join our village because of the bloody civil war there. We have over 75 businesses ranging from bookstores to restaurants to clubs and bathhouses, one of, if not the best hospitals in the world, 4 schools, 2 for civilians and 2 for ninja. We have our village protected from an attack with not just 1, but 3 walls that make it where our ninja can attack from inside while our enemy can't get to us, plus with the ninja we have, who either left their homelands to escape evil leaders or wanting a new life, have made our number of ninja to grow to 150, with 200 students in the academy at different levels, 50 per academy per age level, and we have another 100 starting their first 6-month tour in the academies in another few weeks. We have the world-famous medic named Tsunade here with her family, which from what I hear, will be getting bigger over the next year, as she will be marrying both of the men who love her, though at her age, she needs 2 men to make her happy. One to rub all the brittle bones in her feet while another rubs her back. Making everyone laugh and Tsunade to scowl. Naruto sighed and said, just kidding Tsunade. You are the world's best medic, as well as someone I consider a grandmother, and I am thankful that you have agreed to not only help this village get started, but to continue helping where needed. I have made it no secret about what I used to be, and you all know how her fiancé and brother were brought back to life when I made a deal with the Shinigami to kill the 4 men who have found immortality. In fact, in the lobby of this building is a plaque telling exactly what the deal was for all to see. I want you all to remember these people. Live each day like there is no tomorrow, because not everyone gets a second chance at happiness like Tsunade has, as well as me. We have a great village started here, and it is up to each one of us to keep making it better. As some of you know, I don't really look like what I appear here today. Most of you know I am younger than what I appear, but you don't know how young. I have lived a life many would fear because of the trials I have faced, which has made me feel like I'm 30 or better sometimes, and it is those trials that make me want to see this village become an example for the rest of the world to follow. Today I am going to tell you, as well as show you what I look like and how old I am. You all know I use this to make myself look older and different for the sake of my family and friends, and have even taught a few here. Before I do this though, I ask my girlfriend Nan to come up here. Nan looked confused while everyone looked on, and she walked up beside him, and Naruto smiled and said, as of right now I am as shocked as it sounds 11 years old, making a few people gape like fish, and now Nan, the reason I asked you to join me. As he started to shrink, and he got down on one knee, and said is to ask you that after I turn the legal age of 14 by almost every country in the elemental nations, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife for the rest of our lives, whether it be one day or a million years? As he pulled out a box from his pocket, and she gasped looking at it, and held her hand to her chest, and said yes, I would. As she took the ring, and the crowd below cheered, and several shouted out all hail the Yondaime Namikaze and his fiancée. And the people cheered as the newly announced fiancés kissed. After they broke apart, Naruto mouthed later, and she nods, and he turned back to his older self and said, now that we have something else to be happy about, I would like to say that though our first year has been rough and we came out of it strong, we must continue to grow and get stronger. In 2 years I shall be stepping back from office as the Shadaime, and the Nidaime who have already been selected will be taking over. I may be great at business and working on getting this village going with all your help, but I have very little knowledge on how to keep it going, so I have asked a man who has plenty to help me with that. I now present to you the former Yondaime Hokage of Konoha Minato Namikaze to be the Nidaime Namikaze, so that what he did for Konoha before Kyubbi came can happen here, and that makes this the most prosperous village in the world. Now when I say I'm stepping down does not mean I won't be around. I plan to go to Konoha, who is not only the closest ninja village to us, but who does 90% of all missions in the Fire Country, and ask them for an alliance, so that way if we are ever in need they can help us, and vice versa, and that way, if we need to go through the Fire Country to do trading or missions they don't think we are an enemy. Right now they are the big brother, but I think in a few years they will look like a midget, and we shall be top dog. Now I think I have wasted enough of your party time, and all the casinos and the bars are all open now, as well as the circus of the traveling merchants that have agreed to come here twice a year, so let's party. As everyone cheered. An hour later Naruto and Nan were dancing in a little nightclub on the west side of town, and Nan asked, did you really mean that today you wanted me to be your wife, or was that for the village? Naruto smiled and looked into her eyes and said that was for us. Nan smiled and kissed Naruto. The fox who had seen the announcement and the proposal smiled to herself as she watched them before she went up in smoke. Over the next couple of years the hidden village of Waves continued to grow and become noticed in the world. However, the funny thing is that everyone believed that the Yondaime Namikaze was Arachnar Cage. It was a rule that the Namikaze name would be changed so that any enemies they had would have a harder time finding their friends and family, and everyone in the village agreed to it. Whenever the Namikaze's name was spoken outside of the country or in the presence of strangers, that was the name they were to be called. The name they chose to hide behind. Why not? The village went from nothing in a poor run-down country economically with no hope to one of the biggest. The current village was nearly 3 miles wide and had nearly 7,000 people living in it. 75% of all shipping over the ocean was owned by companies in the village. Trade alliances had been set up with sea, spring, tea, and vegetable countries. Because there were only 2 ways into the country, and those were by ship and by the bridge, security was beyond capable of catching spies. Seal markers were placed all over the island, and anyone who has more chakra than an academy student who came to the island was caught within 30 minutes of setting foot on the island, and they never made it across the bridge if they came in that way, because the village version of Abnu called Spiral would stop them and find out what they were doing. It also helped that Minato and Naruto along with some help from Jiraiya came up with a seal that would glow blue if you told the truth and red if you were lying and nobody could fool it. Even women who are born liars about their age like Tsunade could not fool it. Speaking of Tsunade, she did marry both Dan and Jiraiya after they came to an agreement, though the exact details were never told, even to Naruto, though he was happy for them. In fact, Tsunade had a son by each over these years, surprising a lot of people, but was told it was a side effect of the deal made and everyone dropped it. Not because they were not curious, but because the deal that was made with death was so complicated and had so long and written in a language no one could read that they just had to let it go. What also was a surprise was another couple that had come along to be married. Shizune and Nawaki both became married. Naruto shivers every time he thinks of that couple. Nobody should love paperwork that much, and both of them talk about it like it's the greatest thing on the planet. Nan and him both have gotten closer and feel like they are the happiest they ever have been, but both realized something was missing. It's not the same without Angel because without her, neither of them would be with the one they love, and they realized they had feelings for her also, and what she got out of the deal was screwed up in their opinion, and that realization resulted in where we find Naruto and Nan today. Both had agreed, and today they have used a that only the Guardians could use and stand before the Shinigami. The Shinigami asked, "What is it you wish for me?" For the new Kyubbi and Rikubi to come before me together is somewhat unexpected. Speak. Naruto said, "Lord Shinigami, as you know I was allowed to come back in time, and I made a deal with you in exchange for my parents and a few friends to return to the world of the living, and I have already sent the first of the men you wanted in exchange for this when I sent Sasori. As you are also aware, the former Kyubbi who we call Angel has returned to the summon plan, and I can summon her, but that is only a temporary solution. My future mate and I have both agreed and wished to ask if there is something we can do that would allow her to return to the human world permanently, as long as we live. You know by the order of Kami that we both have to have 100 descendants, and though I could choose any woman to be with in addition to my mate here, since it would be impossible for her to have 100 for each of us, and no one would be able to respect us and be trustworthy enough with our secrets as she would, so we ask for your help." The Shinigami looked at both of them for a few moments, looking into their soul, searching for some shred of deceit in either, and said, "There is something you can do, but it is not as simple a task as killing those men I requested." Nan looked at Naruto and asked, "What is it you wish for us?" The Shinigami was quiet for a moment and said, "There is an item in the world of mortals that should not be there. Only someone who is born of the mortal world may touch it without being destroyed, and I wish for it to be brought back to this world where it belongs. My predecessor stole it and hid it there, including making it where no one from here may touch it. If you can get it, I shall return this angel you requested back to the human world, but she will be an ordinary mortal unless she drinks some of the holy memory sake I made for you that will allow her to shape-shift and be immortal until she does the to end it. She will be just as Tsunade or your parents are, but she will have the equivalent of one tail of her former power that she can work to increase. In exchange, there will be no summon boss for the Fox contract any longer until she dies or announces the next. You are the new Kyubbi in the mortal realm, but you are not the boss summon. Do you accept it?" Naruto looked at Nan and he asked, "What is the item and why do you want it?" The Shinigami said, "It is a wide orb that allows you to view anything within a certain distance of where you are based on how much energy you have. It was originally created so the Shinigami would be able to view humans better without actually going to the human world, but, as I said, my predecessor was not happy about being replaced, so he took it to Earth to spite me. You have seen it in Konoha." Naruto was wide-eyed and said, "The Hokage's viewing orb." The Shinigami nodded and Naruto said, "I agree. I shall get it then if that is the price for her to return." The Shinigami said, "Good, when you get it I shall return her. Be gone and let me rest." And both Nan and Naruto left. Naruto and Nan arrived back home. They decided to build one for themselves here close to his parents, but with enough privacy for themselves, and he looked at Nan and said, "Well, how should we do this?" The boy said, "How should you do what?" Making both a turn and look and see Jiraiya standing there. Naruto sighed and said, "How long have you been there, Senin?" Jiraiya said, "I came by to ask if you would be willing to watch the kids for us when I saw you both disappear in a white flash, so I waited a few minutes to see what was going on when you reappeared." "So what is it?" Nan said, "We should tell him. He might be able to help us." Naruto nods, and over the next few minutes he explains what was the deal, and Jiraiya rubs his chin and says, "Okay, that's all you need to get your girl back, then I will get it for you." Nan asked how. Jiraiya smiled and said, "I got an idea, but you don't let Tsunade know where I am because she will kill me. I better be going." Naruto said, "Let me come with you." Jiraiya said, "No, if my plan is to work I need to go alone. Take care, kid." Nan looked at Naruto and said, "I get the feeling he's going to do something to get himself killed." Naruto just nods his head. 3 days later at about 8 in the evening, the third was reading a pink little book when he felt a presence in the room and someone said hello, making the third turn and pale at the sight of his former student Orochimaru in the office. It was not the sight of Orochimaru that made him pale, but the fact Orochimaru was wearing something from Mistress's secret catalog. The third asked, "What are you doing here, Orochimaru, and why are you dressed like that?" As he took a few steps back away from the desk, Orochimaru stepped forward, slowly crawling onto the desk and said, "I just came to tell you that is something sense. That I wish to make your dreams come true." The third asked, "What dreams?" Trying to figure some way out of this mess without alerting anyone. The sight of Orochimaru like this would not only raise questions about how he got into the village and the Hokage tower, but also the third sanity, but also why Orochimaru would be like this. Also the fact that he had not seen his student in a few years and wanted to know why he would appear now, so he played along. Orochimaru touched the view orb, bringing it to life, and he turned it to the Avenue men's dressing room and said this one. As another Orochimaru came into view dressed in a different nightie and started kissing the first one and then walked toward the third, who got into a defensive formation. Suddenly the first one grabbed a viewing orb and jumped out the window while the other one started to attack the third. It was a simple Taijutsu fight with Academy Taijutsu, and Abnu burst in and helped the third, who was able to kill it with and he quickly ordered Abnu to track down Orochimaru. About 10 minutes later Jiraiya appeared and the third was looking sick and Jiraiya asked, "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." The third blinked and asked Jiraiya, "Where have you been? I have not seen you in over a year." Jiraiya said, "Sorry sensei, I was on my honeymoon. Tsunade finally agreed to marry me." The third was wide-eyed and said, "Kami, help me, the world is coming to an end. First one of my students comes and tries to seduce me while stealing the sacred viewing orb while my other two sneak off and get married. What next? Minato coming back from the dead." Jiraiya paled for a moment and said, "So Orochimaru was here. Did he get away?" The third said, "Most likely, since none of the Abnu can find him. Hell, even Kakashi and his summons could not track down Orochimaru. It's like he was not even in his body." Jiraiya said, "Perhaps he's not. Orochimaru may have finished his immortality." The third looked down and said, "I pray he hasn't. So what are you here for, Jiraiya?" Jiraiya reached into his pocket, pulled out a pink book and said, "It's my latest edition. I really need to get going. Tsunade is going to kill me for leaving her with the kids." The third looked up and said, "Kids? What kids? Tsunade is too old to have kids." Jiraiya said, "Apparently not, but kept it a secret. I better go, and if I get any leads on him I will let you know. Saya-sensei." The third was still in shock after hearing what his student said and was like that for about 5 minutes when he heard Kakashi return and said, "Sorry sir, but we were unable to track it down, or Orochimaru sir." The third nodded and said, "Kakashi, I want you to follow Jiraiya and tell me where he is going. He just told me something and I want to know where he is staying." Kakashi asked, "What do you mean by staying?" "Jiraiya never stays at a place too long because of a woman beating him." The third said, "That may have changed since he's gotten married and has a child now, but don't tell anyone that. I trust you to keep it a secret." Kakashi has wide eyes and nods before jumping out the window and starts to follow Jiraiya. After about a day Jiraiya stopped and said, "So when are you going to quit hiding, Kakashi?" Kakashi appeared and said, "I was told to follow you in case you ran into Orochimaru and needed assistance." Jiraiya snickers and says, "Nice try, but you are trying to find out where I am heading so the third could know where me and my wife are living." "Sorry Kakashi, but I can't let that news get out just yet. I trust you and I trust the old man, but with Orochimaru appearing now and the fact I have heard a few things, I won't risk it." And he melted into a pile of mud and Kakashi cursed himself, but he knew that if he used his Sharingan to see if it was really him, Jiraiya would have noticed. Sadly he had to return to Konoha. The next day Naruto was sitting on the porch swing of his house when suddenly someone puffed into existence in front of him and landed on his lap, making him gasp for breath as it was knocked out of him. After coughing a few times he looked and saw Angel on his lap and she looked around and asked, "What the hell am I doing back here?" A voice from the screen door said, "Welcome back to the mortal world, Angel. Come inside so we can tell you what's going on." As both look and see Nan standing there smiling. After all three go inside and close the door, Angel asks, "So what am I doing here and why do I feel different?" Nan slapped a piece of paper on Angel's arm and said, "Angel, I have a question for you and that paper will tell us if you're lying, so don't, because this is important, and then I will tell you why you feel different." "Okay." Angel looked at Naruto and said, "Is this one of your schemes?" Naruto rubbed the back of his head and said, "Partly, go ahead Nan." Nan nodded and said, "Angel, do you like Naruto?" Angel said, "In what way?" Nan said, "Love Angel." Angel said, "Of course not." And the paper turned red. Both Nan and Naruto looked at each other and Naruto asked, "If there was a way for you to return here and also marry me and be a family with me, and Nan, would you do it?" Angel said, "Kit. I told you I only wanted to have a kid with you to make Konoha pay. I have no romantic interest in you." The paper turned a bright red all the way through, and Nan asked, "Were you the same kyubbi that was sealed in Naruto?" Angel said yes. And it turned blue, and Nan smiled to herself and said, "Well, guess what, Angel? You get your wish. Naruto and I realized the only reason we are happy together is because of you, so we went to see the Shinigami and he has given you back your life, but you only have one tail of your former power, but you can work to get stronger. You are also mortal, but he said you could drink Naruto memory's sake and then you would be like Tsunade or his parents. Naruto and I have decided that since we both need 100 descendants each that we want at least 5 children for each bloodline. Now we decided that I would have all of them for my bloodline, and we want to know if you would have all of the ones for Naruto bloodline. After all, it's only fair since you created it in the first place." Angel said, "You both are crazy. I'm not doing it." And the paper turned red, and Naruto said, "I'm glad to see you accepted. Now how does a triple wedding sound?" Nan said, "I am okay with it, but I am not doing anything until you're 14. I have had Tsunade give me a shot that is used to regulate hormones to help me control mine until then, and Yujito did the same, since she does not want to be anything other than friends, thank goodness." Angel asked, "So what will happen with the Fox contract?" Naruto said, "Until either you die or you announce a successor, there is no boss for the foxes." Angel bit her thumb and summoned the little two-tailed fox and said, "Kip, listen to me. I want you to go back and tell Gray that he is now the new summon boss for foxes and has 2 summoners. Me and my mate." The little fox nodded and went up in smoke, and Angel said, "So what now?" Naruto looked at Nan and asked, "How did you get her back already? Arisanen has not returned yet." Nan snickered and said, "Yes, he has. He's in the hospital right now. Tsunade felt him coming across the bridge and beat the hell out of him. He's in the hospital now, and I was one of the nins that had a front row view since I was on guard duty at the bridge when it happened, and he handed me the scroll with the item the Shinigami wanted. I then went to see him and came here the moment I returned, though I think he lied to us." Naruto asked, "Why do you think the Shinigami would lie to us about what the viewing orb was for?" Angel asked, "Let me get this straight, you got him a viewing orb in exchange for my mortality. This would not happen to be like the one the Hokage has." Nan said, "The same one, why?" Angel smacked her head and sighed before saying, "You're right, Nan, you both were tricked. That orb allows you to look at anything you want as long as you have enough chakra to reach what you're looking for. I bet he told you how the previous one took it away so he could not use it, didn't he?" Naruto said, "Yeah, that's what he said." Angel snickered and said, "The Grim Reaper owes me $1 million now. I told him when he retired and announced Shinigami as the new master of death that he would find a way to get that orb so he could continue his ways." Nan asked, "Is he dangerous or something?" in a concerned voice. Angel said, "To you and me, yes." Naruto narrowed his eyes and asked, "Why is he dangerous to you and Nan?" Angel said, "Simple. He's the biggest pervert in all of history. He makes Jiraiya look like what you did to me when I first met the Hokage on this timeline. Well, he is Jiraiya." Naruto slapped his head against the table and said, "So now that he can spy on women anywhere." Nan looked at Naruto with a glint in her eyes and asked, "What did you do to her, Narutoken?" Naruto said, "Nothing, Nan dear." in an innocent voice. Angel said, "Oh really, Narutoken, I seem to recall you pinching my nipple and making me moan from pleasure from the teasing." In a sweet voice. Naruto felt a dark pressure approaching him and he saw Nan had the look of female justice in her eyes and she said, "And you told me that you have never touched any woman besides me." Naruto said, "Well, only Angel, but that was just her breast. I swear." As he backed away. Nan narrowed her eyes and Angel said, "What about that Sasam girl? You did touch her breast that one time." Naruto paled and said that it was an accident. Angel asked, "Who else has been in an accident?" As she began to pummel him into the ground. Echoes of misery were heard all across the village and Tsunade screamed, "Jiraiya, what the hell are you doing out of the hospital and peeping already?" As she stormed off looking for her husband. Konoha. About 6 months later. The lone figure approached the gates of Konoha as a mist walked with him and he was around 6 foot tall with blonde hair and blue eyes that were slitted. He had a pair of whiskers on his face. He was dressed in a pair of black pants with a blood-red stripe running down each leg. A holster with a weird seal was on each of his legs, as was one on his back hip. His chest was exposed, showing the well-toned body of someone who has worked hard with weights and exercises. He had a sleeveless blue jean jacket with the words, "If you look into my eyes you can see the future. Your future is death." It had a fox skull in the middle of the saying that circled it, and the fox skull had a pair of slitted sharingans with 3 commas, and it also had veins popping out of the side. No matter which way you looked at it, the eyes were always watching you, and a seal that was hidden on the inside made it look like the eyes were slowly spinning. There was a tattoo on his left arm of 9 spiral, and at the end of each was a different item. One was a slug, frog, weasel, cat, fox, a sword, a scroll, a puppet, and a picture of the Shinigami. On his left hand was a glove with the fingers cut out, and a ring was his ring finger, though anyone who had seen that type of ring knew it belonged to Atsuki, and the glove had a weird seal on it. On his right arm was a seal that had a circle around it, and underneath that seal was a line running along his arm till it got to his wrist, and the number 100X was inside a seal on his wrist. On his forehead was a spiral right in the center of his forehead. Over his heart was another seal, though this one had the number 60 with an arrow pointing down to the number 40, and on his stomach there was a burned and destroyed seal with the letters RIP kyubbi over where the seal was. On the back of his neck was a seal that was directly over his spine. As he approached the gates, the guard said, "Who are you, and what are you here for?" The figure looked at both men, and their eyes started closing before, and both men fell to the ground. The figure smirked to himself and walked into the village as the mist continued to follow him and people were looking at him and getting out of his way. The mist for some reason that was following him was so thick you could not see what was inside of it. As he traveled it was always just barely rolling at his feet so you could not see his footprints. A few Abnu appeared and the moment they locked eyes with him, they passed out making everyone who could read the words on his back believe that they were dead. When he finally made it to the Hokage Tower, the third Hokage was standing outside the building, having already been notified of what was happening, and he asked, "Who are you, and what do you want here?" The figure said, "Hello old man. I told you I would return, and here I am. I do have one question though, why did all those ninjas faint?" Making everyone sweat drop as he pointed behind him. The third was confused as the mist slowly started to clear away and 4 figures could be seen standing in the middle of the mist. 3 of the figures had what appeared to be swords and on closer inspection identified them as Abusa, Kisum, and Raiga. The figure in the middle was dressed as a cage though with the hats on and the mask on his face, you could not see what he looked like. Naruto smiled and said, "Sorry about that Hokage-sama, but the Namikaze here asked me to escort him to Konoha. He wishes to talk to you about an alliance. Since I was on my way here he asked that I lead the way." The third asked, "Who are you?" Naruto acted as if he was hurt and said, "Read my stomach and you should know the answer." The third looked and got wide-eyed and asked Naruto, "Is that you?" Naruto nodded and said, "Been a long time old man. Allow me to introduce the Nidaime Namikaze of Wave, Cased Tsunami. This is a special joke if you can figure it out. Minato means either port or harbor, Tsu means harbor, and Nami means wave." The third looked at the man who bowed a little and said, "Hello Sandaime Hokage-san. I have heard many great things about you from this young man and I would like to open negotiations between our 2 villages. I am sorry for my entrance, but I could not afford for someone to try and hinder my arrival. These are my bodyguards. Zabuza Mamachi, Kisum Hoshigaki, and Raiga Kurisuke, and of course you already know our escort Naruto Namikaze." The third said, "It is an honor to meet you Namikaze-san, but if I had known you were coming, I could have been better prepared for this meeting." He said, "That's fine Hokage-san. I did not come here to try and smoke blew up either of our asses. Perhaps it would be best if we continued this talk somewhere more private. If you don't have time today, me and my guards will gladly stay at a hotel until you have time in your schedule." The third was quite a moment and said, "I believe I can fit you in right now, though your guards will have to stay in the lobby." He said, "That's fine, but I would like my associate here to join us in negotiations. I trust his advice. Had it not been for his suggestion I would most likely have tried to open negotiations with Suna or Iwa." Motioning toward Naruto making everyone who was listening and unable to understand what he was up to. The third nodded and said, "Very well. Follow me." Naruto nods and follows Kase who follows the Hokage. Kisum and the others all stand outside in the lobby, making the secretary fidget by their presence. When they arrived at the Hokage's office the third asked, "So what is it you are exactly interested in?" Page said, "Very simple. As you have most likely heard, a few years back a group of people took control of Wave Country and freed them from the tyranny of a man named Geto. We then gave them the option to try and recover themselves or let us help them. But business connections Naruto here, as well as a few other connections I and a few others had helped the people build the great bridge that connects our island to the Fire Country. The people decided that they needed some way to protect themselves, so we got to work on building the bridge and getting people to live there. So far there have been no problems between us and your ninjas that I am aware of, but I would rather work out an agreement that would be beneficial for my country ahead of time." The third asked, "What exactly do you have in mind?" Page said, "Well, what I have in mind is basically an open alliance. Trading of information on possible threats to the other, as well as giving support in the event of a disaster, like an attack on the village or a natural disaster, such as a fire for you or a tidal wave for us. We also have a trade alliance for unrestricted shipping of items to and from each of our countries providing the item being shipped is not something dangerous. We can also trade ninja for training, though it can only be a genin team to restrict access to village secrets. I am aware that our village does have some that were originally from your village. Some of our sins were at one time missing nins, though none were from Konoha that I am aware of. The third sat quietly and looked at Naruto, who was listening to it all and looked like he had something on his mind, so he asked, do you have anything to add to Naruto? Naruto sighed and said, yes, I do actually. Wave has a number of bloodlines now. I believe that it was over 100, though that was a rough estimate at about the 1-year anniversary. These people are afraid of being hunted down again because most of them came from the mist, but some come from other countries. They have a life there, but some of the bloodline users came from other countries also, like Cloud, Iwa, Rain, and I even think there might be 1 or 2 from the Fire country. I would like to see, for the sake of those people, that they cannot be forced to go back to their original countries if they do not wish it, and that if they chose it, they would be officially listed as bloodlines of Wave. Several people I care for fall into that category. The third thought was, I can't speak for other countries on Naruto. Naruto interrupted him and said, I understand that, old man, and I misspoke a moment ago by letting my feelings get in the way. What I would like to ask is that if approached by anyone to force the bloodlines to return to their original countries, Konoha official policy is that it will not be involved in such acts, either by ally or enemy nations. I think if Konoha were to make just that stance of no involvement in it, then other countries would have to find other ways to do it, and with the sharing of information we agreed on, then we could prepare to protect them. In fact, if you agree, I have information on one such threat of a Konoha bloodline that is in the works. I know this is low for me to offer this to you in such a way, but you see, both of my fiancés have a bloodline, and both would be hurt if they were forced to return to the country they left from. It scares them so much that one of them refuses to tell me what her bloodline is and where she is from in fear of what would happen. As he looked down at the end, the third listened to him and felt the emotions in his voice, but then something caught his attention and asked Naruto, why do you have 2 fiancés? Naruto sighed and Kage said, it's like this, Hokage-san. Somehow the kyubbi that was sealed in Naruto died. He does not remember how it happened, and in fact he had amnesia for several years from around the age of 6 to the age he was right before we saved the wave, which was around age 9. Tsunade was able to save him and bring back his memory. As a side effect, Naruto chakra coils were being pushed to the limit and threatening to break. Jiraiya, who had been with Tsunade at the time, designed the seal on Naruto's chest there and sealed most of the chakra away. His body was a mess at that point, and Tsunade had to teach him one of her secret medicines. There were a few side effects, and based on her observation, Tsunade believes it is the emergence of a new bloodline. What the exact details are she was not sure, but she said it had qualities of the Sharingan, Byakugan, and others, though to what extent she is not sure, and has asked him not to tell anyone about it unless he absolutely trusts them. The only reason I even know about it is when Tsunade had closed off a wing of the hospital to run the test, and I received a complaint about it. Tsunade said that if it is a new bloodline emerging, then he should practice polygamy, and since he actually saved the lives of both girls, they won't take no for an answer. The third listened and was shocked, but decided to try and get more information and asked, what do you mean, Tsunade? Naruto said, Bachin and Arasanen decided to stay in Wave for a while, and Arasanen trained me, and Bachin did also, and helped create a hospital for the country, and has been teaching basic medicine and first aid until properly trained medics can take over full time. The third nodded and asked, what's those other things on your arm, Naruto? Naruto looked at his arm and said, how did I get it? I don't know, but I do know what they are. The frog, slug, cat, weasel, and fox are all summoning contracts. When I had signed the toad contract, he said it's what Dad would have wanted, and it appeared on my arm. I already had the fox contract somehow, though the boss is an 8-tailed fox who said Kyubbi died. I got the slug contract from Tsunade in case something new comes up with this possible bloodline, so she can research it and contact me. The cat contract came from a friend, and the weasel came from one of my fiancés. The one with a picture of the Shinigami I don't know since it was there, and Jiraiya told me not to use it in case it might be the sealing Dad used. The one with the scrolls is like a massive storage seal that I can store all kinds of scrolls and items in. The puppet has 2 puppets sealed in them, though how and why I have them I don't know, and the sword actually has my weapons for quick access that won't fit in my weapon holsters. The third was speechless and gapping, and after a few moments asked, what about the other ones on your arm? Naruto looked at Kage, who said that was a gift for Naruto from me. It's a gravity chakra weight seal. Normally a person could only go up to about 10x normal gravity and have to stop, but I guess it has something to do with his healing factor, but he maxed out at 100x. The third shook his head wondering what the hell happened and asked what happened to Vixen and Shinro. Naruto looked down and said, I am not really sure. Angel, one of my fiancés, was Vixen's daughter, and she said that some men attacked us and they were both killed while I was ordered to take her away and flee. Something happened in that battle because it was the last thing I remembered before the first time I met Arisanen and Bachin. Angel stayed with me during the time I had amnesia, but under orders from Tsunade, she won't tell me what I did or saw because it might actually impair my ability to recover the memories if I ever do. The third sighed and said I see. Most likely it was some kind of mind control or perhaps something to do with the kyubbi. Naruto said I wish I knew. I don't like having a past and not knowing it. At least I got Angel and Nan. The third's ears perked up thinking it might be Nan Uchiha and asked Nan who. Naruto said Nan Chio. My fiancé. Page cleared his throat and said if you are asking about all the seals on Naruto, I will tell you about the last one. It's a security seal that we placed on him to make it where no one would be able to go into his head and gather information on us. Jiraiya came up with it so you can ask him the exact details whenever you see him again. Naruto is a major security risk for our village, but without his help, we would never have been able to build the village. In fact, that is why we had made him the honorary Yondaime Namikaze. His true strength and skills may not be that of a Kage, but his ideas and leadership skills were, and with the way he helped us gather people and build the village it only seemed right. He took all the sadness in his life from his childhood and helped the people believe in themselves and each other. In fact, it was him who came up with our village's motto. The third was stunned for a moment and looked at Naruto before asking what is your motto. Page said to protect what is most precious to you. That is when you will find true strength. Make the village your most precious and together the village will gain true strength. The third smiled to himself and said sounds like you helped create a great village, Naruto. I hope I can see it someday. So what do you plan to do now? Naruto sighed and said well, I have a few questions I need answers to and I figure that this is the only place I can find them. I want to find out why my father was willing to save this village. From what I can remember of my childhood it was not worth it, so I would like to see it again now that I have traveled the world and realized a few truths. I would also like to try and make a few friends here. I know that is going to be hard considering that I was a Kage of another village though from what Arisanen told me that the wave country's ranks don't become official until they enter an exam. Is that right? The third said yes, that's correct. In fact that makes it easier on us to get you back into the Leaf Village. Page said to Hokage-san, I know you only just met me today, but I have a request. Should Naruto's life here be the same as it was before I would like to make it where he is a joint ninja of both of our villages, like someone who is in a political marriage would be. That way if the villagers can't get over their hate of kyubbi he can return to Wave and live happily. To the people of Wave Naruto is a hero and after everything he has done for us, I don't want to see him treated as trash. With a little hate in his voice. The third said I can, but I would need to put some restrictions on Naruto at first to ensure he is not a security risk for us. I'm sure you can understand. Page nodded and the third said alright Naruto. Is there anything else you feel that I should know before I make my decision on this matter? Naruto was quiet and looked at Kage and said should we tell him about that now as a sign of good faith on behalf of Wave or wait? Page said it's your call, Naruto. Consider yourself an official ambassador for Wave to Konoha should they approve of our alliance and I trust your decision. Naruto nodded and said remember when I mentioned a threat to one of the bloodlines of Konoha. From what we discovered it seems Orochimaru has created something that allows him to take over the body of another permanently by transferring his mind and soul to another body. The girl that joined the wave about 6 months ago from the Fuma clan said that her clan had joined Orochimaru and he used it on a friend of hers. He tried to kill her because of what she saw, but she escaped. She told us that Orochimaru bragged and claimed he would soon have the perfect body to steal all the in the world, just 3 more years he said. We confirmed the Fuma clan is doing something that is strange, according to the team we sent to check this out. They were stocking up on weapons and food. She said that it took her about 4 months to find out about the new village in Wave and decide to come there. After getting this info and checking a few things there is only one known bloodline that would give him that. The third closed his eyes and said the Sharingan. Page said, and since there is only one Sharingan user left in the world, we figured it means that he plans to use that on him next year. At least it is what we believe based on the info we have. We told Jiraiya all this and he said he would check into it but would have to get proof before he alerted Konoha. The third asked, what exactly is Jiraiya's relation to your village? Page said Jiraiya trained Naruto here and spent his free time with Tsunade. Tsunade taught him chakra control beyond what he had already learned. Jiraiya agreed that if we allowed him and Tsunade a home that could be a vacation home or a permanent one, then he would keep his ears open for any threat to our village, as he does Konoha under the rules that he won't betray one village for the other. Only reason he taught Naruto was respect for his father. The third nodded and looked in thought for a few moments and said okay. I like the ideas you have for this alliance, though I would like to do a little test if you don't mind. You say Naruto has full rights as an ambassador for your country. Page said yes. Naruto has my faith, as well as the faith of the council, and the people of Wave. The third nodded and said, when do you plan to take the first exams? Page said we were actually going to wait until the exams were here in Konoha, so that way our first genin teams were not captured or killed. I was thinking of sending up to 5 teams to enter the test, since this exam will be important to us and our future to not only show you who we wish to ally with, but also other nations that we are not some little helpless village that can't defend itself. The third nodded and asked when is Naruto married. Naruto said the day after my 14th birthday, old man. I plan to request a mission to return there or request leave for 2 weeks at that time to be with my fiancé. The third nodded and said then it's settled. I will agree to allow Naruto to attend the academy to get to know people around his age. Since he has prior training he can skip the first year providing he can pass a simple test I will administer myself. He will then be placed in the class that will graduate next year and be placed on a team that he will have to work with until the exams. If at the time of his wedding I find nothing that questions my faith in your village, I would like to send guests to Naruto's wedding to view your village. Page said I don't believe that would be a problem, though they will have to have a ninja from our village that must be with them when they are not at their hotels for village security, but the guests have to be approved by Naruto. It is his and his fiance's special days, and I know that there will still be some who see him as kyubbi, and we don't want them to disrupt his special day. The third nodded and said very well. I can agree to that. If they like what they see when they are there I will agree to the terms you have stated and it will be announced at the beginning of the finals of the exams, providing at least one of your candidates makes it to dot. Page said that is acceptable. If there is nothing further I really must be returning. My wife gets upset if I am away for too long. Our only child grew up without us being able to see him because of a betrayal by our home village that cost us much of his life. We don't get to see him much, but when we do we cherish it and also cherish the time we have together. As he stood up and offered his hand. The third got up and shook his hand and said it was a pleasure to meet Namikaze. With a smile on his face. Page bowed and turned to Naruto and said I will make sure your fiancé is well taken care of and if you need anything send word and I will have it sent to you. As he gave him a handshake. Naruto smiled a small smile and said thank you and take care of everyone. I guess I will see you in about a year and a half then. Page nods and walks out of the office. The third smiled as Naruto turned back to him and asked what do you have planned for your residence. Naruto said I still own a lot of businesses here and I just need to talk to the woman who has taken care of my properties while I was away and I can have my place. The third nodded and said okay, I am going to cast it and I want you to break it. Naruto smirked and said might as well forget it. They don't work on me. The third looked confused and asked what do you mean? Naruto said my eyes. Whatever it is that happened to me makes it where all are useless against me. It automatically dispels them. In fact it broke Tsunade's and I saw what she looked like under hers. It was not until I mentioned something I saw that she looked closer at it and realized it. The third asked, what else can it do? Naruto said well, it's always active. I found that there are 2 levels to it. One where my eyes are blue I can see everything around me in a perfect circle for 100 feet with no blind spot, but I can't see through things. I can also copy nearly any like the Sharingan, as long as my hand seal speed is faster than whoever I am copying. Arisanen had me get to the point where I can do 30 a second to make full use of this, since almost no one can be faster than that. The third was wide-eyed and then asked what else. You said it had a second level. Naruto nods and said the second level I found is when I actually channel chakra into my eyes they become red and I can see up to a mile away and through things, but I can't see chakra pattern and I can still copy, but the farther away a person is the slower they have to go for me to be able to copy. I also found that my eyes can create a powerful world. Achin told me it was like the Tsukiyomi world of the Sharingan that I call Kitsune world, though I have only ever used it on my fiancée to make one of her sexual fantasies come to life before we actually have sex. The third giggled at that and asked, anything else? Naruto thought and said well I got my healing factor and then I got my other fiancée's bloodline, though I got that from a blood transfusion to save her life. The third asked what is it? Naruto smiled and said she can shape shift. It's like an advanced henge that actually makes her body become whatever it is she appears to be. She sometimes turns into an animal or another person to pull pranks on me. Tsunade said that mine was actually a mutation of hers. She figured that since I did it before I had my memory loss that Kyubbi must have altered it a little and she was going to see if it was transferable along with the others she thinks are bloodline. That woman is scary with needles. I swear someone should call her mosquito from all she took though who or what she did with it I don't know and don't want to find out. Shivers. The third nodded and said, can you show me it? Naruto smiled and said I already am. As he slowly starts to shrink down until he's about 5'5". The third was amazed and Naruto then turned back like he was and the third said so how long can you do that for? Naruto said it's all mental. until I actually tell myself to change it won't. I can even add things to myself. Last year we had a costume party for Halloween and I changed to look like a 4 feet tall kyubbi, and Angel changed to look like my dad and sat on my back while saying she was king of demons. The third laughed as the picture popped in his head and said okay. I guess you pass. I could test you more, but I don't want to waste any more time than I already have. Report to the academy at 7:30 AM and I will get you signed in. I will have to have an Abnu follow you for security reasons, so I'm sorry about that. Naruto nodded and said please don't tell anyone about my bloodline. I fear what would happen if word would get out. The third saw the pleading look and said okay Naruto. Naruto said goodbye and left, and the third thought Minato, perhaps I can make up for my past mistakes now. The man at the front gate sneezed and Zabuza asked, are you okay Namikaze-sama? Page said yeah, someone must be talking about me. Good luck son. Thanks. If you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Naruto walked down the street ignoring the stares people were giving him. To him these people were nothing anymore. He had a life and a family now, but he did have a few friends here and that is why he would save them from what is to come. As he continued on his journey he felt the team of Anbu following by rooftop. All three of them. The fourth was dressed as a civilian following about a half a block back. They approached an apartment building and shocked the guards when he bit his thumb, wiped some blood and walked into it. Everyone knew of the security for these apartments and knew the only way someone could enter was if they were in a selected Shinobi's list allowed to enter. For the person they were following was a disbelieving experience. The one in civilian clothes thinking the seal was broken went over and tried to get in, but found he could not ensure the seal was working. Naruto smiled as he stood around the corner from the door as he knew that raised a few eyebrows and he started climbing the stairs. A few minutes later he knocked on a door and the door to the apartment opened up and Naruto had to hold back the snicker at the sight of Kakashi without a shirt and him holding his mask over his face and a pair of boxers with dogs on them. Kakashi raised an eyebrow and asked can I help you with something? Naruto said yeah, Rin get you ass out here. Making Kakashi look at him and said I'm sorry, but you got the wrong apartment buddy. Nobody named Rin lives here. Naruto snickered and said really Kakashi, you mean to tell me you've been sleeping with your old teammate for what is 3 years now and you still have not figured it out? Kakashi was shocked for a moment. First this person knew who he was and then by the claim that the woman he had been seeing was his dead teammate. How low can people get? Kakashi released a little killer intent and said listen buddy. I don't know who you are or what you think, but you are pissing me off. Naruto said forgive my manners. Naruto Namek is at your service Kakashi, now if you would be so kind as to look at the woman behind you, I believe you will have a heart attack. In a mocking tone. Kakashi was stunned. This was his sensei's son. He felt a hand on his shoulder and heard let him in Kakashi-kun. And he turned to look and passed out at the sight of his teammate who was dead standing there dressed in the bathrobe he got his girlfriend for their anniversary. Naruto smiled and said nice to see you again, Rin. Sorry for interrupting, but I got Anbu on my ass already, so I need to find out which apartment I am in. Rin smiles and picks Kakashi up and sets him on the couch and Naruto walks in closing the door. Rin said let me get dressed and then we can talk. As she goes toward the bedroom. Kakashi groaned a few moments later and Naruto who was sitting at the table drinking some tea, said morning pervert. Making Kakashi look at him and look around trying to figure out if it was a dream or what. Not seeing Rin or his girlfriend he asked what was that earlier and where is Nermi? Naruto snickered and said louder than necessary making his voice go down the hallway. You could have come up with a better name Rin. I can't believe Kakashi here never looked at your name in a mirror because you left it on a plain sight. As he looked toward the hall going toward the bedrooms. Kakashi, who was ready for an attack, listened to what this guy said and thought mirror, Nermi backwards would be. His eyes got wide-eyed and thought I'm Rin. As he looked down the hallway and saw his old teammate coming out of the hall and he asked what the hell's going on. You died during the kyubbi attack. As he uncovered his eye trying to see if it was a henge or and saw that it was not one. Rin smiled and said, not dead Kakashi, murdered, and, as for how I am alive, our godchild is to blame for that. Pointing toward Naruto who waved in a Kakashi pattern while taking a sip of tea. Kakashi looked at Naruto and asked what, how, when, why, and a few other random incoherent questions. Naruto smiled and said well if you want answers I can humor you. Rin, if you don't mind could you fix us something to eat and get a bottle of sake? I got the feeling we are all going to want a drink before today is over. Rin nodded and said you don't have kyubbi anymore, you sure you can handle the sake? Naruto snickered and said I've been bar hopping every Friday night for the past 3 years with my fiancé and the others back in wave. I can drink this town dry and still not get drunk. Rin smacked her forehead and asked what the hell has Minato-sensei been teaching you and how did he get it from your mother? Kakashi, who had come over, was again floored and said wait a minute. Will someone please explain to me what the hell is going on and how people I know are dead and what do you mean he does not have kyubbi? As he looked at both for answers. Naruto sighed and said fine, I will tell you, but you can't tell anyone, including the Hokage. If he were to find out he would be pissed and everything we worked for would be ruined. Agreed. Kakashi nodded and Naruto said, it's like this. You remember your old teammate Obito? Kakashi nods once looking at Naruto, and Naruto said a man by the name of Uchiha Madara, the same Uchiha Madara who killed the Shadame Hokage, recovered his body after dad took you and ran away to get treated and repaired his body. He then used a form that transfers his mind and soul into another body and took control of Obito's body. You're with me so far. Kakashi nodded and said so you're saying that Obito's body is alive, but someone else is in it. Now what does this have to do with anything? Sounding impatient. Rin came in with some sandwiches and a bottle of sake and glasses and set them down while saying everything Kakashi. He's the man responsible for the kyubbi attack. Making Kakashi wide-eyed and looking at her and Naruto. After he calmed down a little, Naruto said now I will skip why and how he did it for now since you want to know how Rin and the others are alive. The truth about how Rin died was not what you believe Kakashi. It turned out Danzo found out about mom and dad and when dad went to do the sealing before the hospital wing was destroyed, he sent one of his assassins to kill mom. Rin was the nurse who delivered me and was treating mom and was killed fighting the assassin. Mom passed out from exhaustion and was an easy target afterwards. Kakashi asked, why would Danzo want your mother killed? Rin said think about it, Kakashi. If she was alive she could have taken Naruto back to Whirlpool or somewhere else and Danzo would lose his ultimate weapon he wanted to create. Kakashi thought, and that did seem like Danzo, and he asked so how are you alive? Naruto poured himself some sake and said cheers. As he drank some and Rin drank some and Naruto said I need to use the restroom before I continue. As he got up and went down the hall. Rin smiled and said sorry for not telling you sooner Kakashi, a lot of people have a lot riding on what's going on and I could not screw them over to tell you until everything was ready. I wanted to tell you, but I could not abandon my friends for my own selfishness. As she poured herself some more and some for Kakashi. Kakashi looked at it thinking everything over and took the saucer and drank it trying to clear his head. Wrong choice as he suddenly grabbed his head in pain before he felt a pressure point being hit by Rin knocking him out. When Kakashi awoke he looked around and saw he was sitting on the couch and he looked at Naruto and Rin who were talking and he listened to them trying to get over the head rush. Naruto, who had his back to Kakashi, said come join us, Kakashi. The headache will go away by tomorrow. Kakashi sighed wondering how Naruto knew he was awake and walked over and stood beside them and asked what the hell was that. Naruto smiled and said my last life. It's what started all of this allowing Rin and the others to come back to life. Kyubbi offered me a deal and I took it. When we went to the Shinigami to inform him and when he reviewed my life, he gave me a gift to bring a few people back to life and in exchange for making sure 5 people died. From my memories you should be able to tell who they are. Orochimaru, Haiden, Sasori, Kakuzu, and Madara. Kami also got involved in the deal since he was tired of the tail demons being involved so I have to track down all of them and have them transfer their powers. Including me that leaves 6 left for me to find. Kakashi thought for a moment and said when did you come back to Naruto? Naruto said early enough to piss on your book. With a smile. Kakashi looked at him and for the first time at first pissed off and then realized something was different. His forehead protector was gone and he was seeing with both eyes and chakra was not being drained. He jumped to his feet and ran to the bathroom and looked at his face and saw that his Sharingan eye was black and not active. He tried to channel chakra to it and found it responded and then he shut the chakra off and it returned to black. He smiled a little and went to turn when he knocked something off the sink counter. He reached to catch it and cut his finger since it was Rin's razor she shaves her legs with and he sets it back on the counter and washes the blood off and was about to get a band-aid when he noticed it already healed and he raised an eyebrow and went back into the dining room and asked what happened to me. Naruto said basically you got a part of my bloodline. As he drank some more tea. Kakashi looked at him and asked, what do you mean? Rin sighed and said tell you what Kakashi. Picture anyone in your mind that you know what they look like either man or animal and then think of the word shapeshift. Kakashi looked at her and soon he started to change and turned into Puckin and Naruto said Kakashi, you have a sick relation with him. Kakashi thought for a moment and returned to normal and asked what was that. Naruto said shape-shifting is part of the Kitsune bloodline. You also have increased healing and a simple form of immortality. Kakashi looked at him and asked, what do you mean by immortality? Rin said it means you won't grow old. Your body is healing itself back to its prime at the age of 22 and then it will stay that way until you cancel it or until you are killed, which is a little harder now. Kakashi was wide-eyed and asked why. Naruto said simply, I have changed the future already, though the one major event will most likely still happen, and with it the second major problem. Kakashi thought for a moment and said Orochimaru and Sasuke. Naruto nodded and said yes. You and Rin are the only two people besides myself in the entire village that knows what is going to happen. Kakashi was quiet for a moment and asked, what do you plan to do to stop that? Naruto smiled and said simple. Before I came here today myself and the Nidaime Nemikage had a meeting with the Hokage and opened an alliance proposal that will take effect around the time of the Chunin exams. Let's just say that the teams that are coming are going to be ready to aid Konoha along with the Namikaze who is going to be by the Sandaime. Kakashi asked who is Namikaze Naruto. Naruto smiled and said Kazed Tsunami or you would know him as Minato Namikaze. Making Kakashi fall on his butt. Kakashi asked, why are you telling me all of this and why did you give me this bloodline and memories? Naruto sighed and said it's like this. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Dad, Mom. Rin, Zabuza, Nan, Angel, Kisame, Yujito, Shizune, Haku, and Raiga along with myself will not be enough to change the future of the village. I need help and since almost all of those who know believe you could help get the leaf ready without raising too many questions and we all trust you. Kakashi asked, what do you think I could do that others couldn't? Naruto said tomorrow I start at the academy. I plan to befriend the Rookie 9 and help a few of the key members that will make the others follow. Ino, Sakura and Sasuke are out for now. You however can use your rivalry with Guy to help him get his team and also help get a few others you think will be of use in the future, but you need to do it as simple training or challenges or something without raising too much interest. You could also arrange joint training with the other teams when we pass the academy. I also need someone to tell me when people are drawing attention to me. I already told the Hokage that I was trained by Jiraiya and Tsunade to move most of the things I know away, but a few things can't be passed off like that. Especially if people find out what I did during the years the Hokage thinks I had amnesia. Kakashi asked, what did you do? Naruto smiled and said ever hear of a rancor cage? And he saw the wide-eyed look on Kakashi's face for a moment as he realized exactly what he meant and said so that's why you had Puck and not tell me who you were. Naruto nodded and said I want to say thanks for saving me. Danzo men nearly cost me my life. Had it not been for Nan I would have been killed. Kakashi asked, who is Nan? Naruto tensed a moment and said man is one of my fiancés. Check the memories and find the one of me and the Jinchuriki of Kyubbi. She's Nan. Kakashi thought for a moment trying to get the information and said I see. Why did she save you then? From your memories you never met her before that day in the future, though she met you. Naruto sighed and said, you want the truth. If I tell you it then you will not be able to tell anyone because if you do I will kill you. As straight face as he could be. Kakashi looked at Naruto trying to see any deception and saw none and questioned if he wanted to know the truth and said fine, tell me. Naruto nods and over the next 30 minutes explains about the Uchiha plan to create a second, their involvement in the Kyubbi attack and its real reasons to attack. The secret law of the secret to gaining the ultimate Sharingan, the truth about the Uchiha massacre and why Sasuke was spared. The last mission the Hokage had for her and about the truth of Itachi. The truth about who Angel was and why she did it. When it was done Kakashi was wide-eyed and unable to speak. Finally he said if I was her I might have done the same thing. I don't condone it, but I understand it. I won't tell, as long as she does not kill Sasuke. Naruto said she won't. If she does I will forfeit my life however if he betrays the leaf all bets are off. Kakashi said I suppose that's fair enough, besides the man he wants to kill is you. Giving Naruto a pointed look. Naruto said I know, but I hope with the cover story I told you he will change his desire for revenge to one of protection and respect. Especially after getting to know me a little. Kakashi nodded and said, well, is there anything else I need to know? Naruto said you can give Rin here that ring you bought and set a date. Word of advice, next time you buy a present or engagement ring, make sure it's not at a store she manages. I will see you around Kakashi. As he got up and left. Kakashi swallowed a lump in his throat and looked at Rin who was blushing and looked at him. He said Rin said just shut up and give me the ring. You never were good with words. Kakashi nods and the makeout begins. Naruto soon finds the apartment that will be his for the next year and a half. The next day Naruto arrived at the academy dressed with a pair of black pants like the ones he wore the previous day, except they had a white stripe down the side and a white shirt and a black sleeveless jacket with a picture of a tidal wave approaching a village and the words natural disaster on the back in red. When he approached the third looked at him and saw he still had that glove on his hand and asked what's with that glove, Naruto. Naruto held his hand out to the side and suddenly appeared in his hand and said I have 3 seals in it and I can make either of my or a shuriken appear. It's a seal I designed when I was learning some of Dad's stuff from Shinro. The third asked, what do you know about Naruto? Naruto looked around and saw several people looking at him and asked, do you mind if I use that training log as an example? The third looked at Naruto and said sure. Naruto dropped the kunai in his hand and another appeared a moment later and he threw it and the next thing anyone knew there was a yellow flash and an explosion making every single person in sight wide-eyed, including the Hokage who was gaping, as Naruto had just obliterated the training post with a Rasengan that he still held in his free hand. As he walked back over putting the back into his back holster and powering the Rasengan down, as he swooped down grabbing the he drop and pocketed it and said nothing much. Naruto held a bored look on his face as everyone was trying to figure out what to think or do. The third asked how good are you at those? Naruto said I'm not really sure. I know I learned the Rasengan in a month from Arasanen and Hiraishin in about 6 months from Shinro before he died, though I don't think my version is as good as Dad's. Dad's notes on it said something about a feedback problem, though I have not encountered it yet, so I don't know. I have only had to actually use it once, and that was when I saved Angel's life when I was 6. I keep myself up to date on practicing it so I can do it if needed. The third shook his head trying to get over the fact Naruto was possibly a genius, and he realized Naruto would most likely never have reached his full potential here in the leaf due to their hatred. That thought sat in him, and he asked, can you teach how to use it to others, Naruto? Naruto said can, yes, will, no. I consider it a family, and will keep it in my family. I heard a rumor that there was someone else who knew it, but I heard he died a few years back besides Dad. As he saw everyone's shocked faces in his view with his bloodline, the third winced at that and said it was never confirmed if what he did was indeed the Hiraishin, though it was suspected. It was also never confirmed that he died. Naruto nodded and said well I would like to find him someday to find out how he figured it out or his version if it's not the actual one and compare notes on it. Making the third nod though he had a million other thoughts going through his head. The third said well, let's get you registered with Naruto. Naruto nods and walks into the academy and Inoichi says what do you think Chaoja? Chaoja said I don't know. If that is only a sample of what he can do then he could be a great ally or our greatest enemy. Shikaku said I am surprised by what he has accomplished so far in his life from what the Hokage told us last night during our meeting. I see now why he wanted the clan heads to make sure Naruto was treated fair. The voice from behind them said I am forced to agree with your assumption also. Even he seemed to have gotten in on this idea, and if what my bugs are telling me is true, all of his chakra is his. None of Kyubi's. He who had his eyes activated, started to walk toward the group because he had read their lips, as Naruto was walking into the academy you smirked as he had heard them. He when he got by them said I am afraid I have to agree. All the chakra in his body is currently his. Also the fact that both he used back there did not make his chakra reserve show any signs of use. It was like it was completely restored instantly. His coils are also larger than the Hokage's, making everyone wide-eyed. After dropping off a folder to the administration office the Hokage led Naruto to room 301 and opened the door and said hello Iruka, I'm sorry to interrupt your class, but you have a new student joining you today. Iruka was smiling until he saw the whiskers and said I see Hokage-sama. Who are you young men? Naruto walked to the front of the class and said my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, I am the son of Kushina Uzumaki, the Rakudame race in Cage of Whirlpool, and Minato Namikaze the Yondame Hokage of Konoha. I am also the former Jinchuriki of the Kyubbi no Kitsune. I like training, precious people, writing books, playing shogi, bugs, eating new foods from around the world, and both of my fiancés. I like people who can be themselves and do not judge based on other people's ideas, but their own. I dislike fangirls. Suddenly a howling noise was heard and Naruto paled and said hey, you with the dog, what clan are you? Tiba looked at him and asked Inyazuka, why? Naruto looked around frantically and asked how many women in your clan are between 13 and 40 and don't have a boyfriend or husband or kids. Tiba looked confused and said 1, why? Suddenly the window was blown open and Naruto said I will take it, that's her. The third asked what's going on Naruto. As Naruto jumped from flat-footed to sticking on the ceiling with chakra to avoid the girl who dove where he was a moment ago. Naruto bit his thumb and rubbed it across the scroll seal on his arm and said hormones. And popped a pill bottle and he flipped off the ceiling as the girl climbed the wall and to the roof to get him and he said Tsunade said that since I was 11 years old, my body has had one other side effect of the kyubbi dying. If I am within a mile of someone with heightened senses and that person is a female and does not have a mate and is of childbearing age shit. As he replaced Mizuki who was pounced on by the girl. The third said then their mating instincts kick in and try to make you theirs. Figuring it out. Naruto nods and replaces himself with Sasuke and said Tsunade could not figure out how to stop my body from producing it and said it will most likely go away after I marry my fiancé, but she did create a drug that makes my pheromone I am releasing obsolete. Problem is getting the person to take it. As he backflips out of the desk, causing the girl to hit Sakura with a clawed hand ripping her shirt. The third starts doing hand signs that Naruto copies, and both shout out mud encampment wall. And both spit out a wall of mud that covers the girl, and Naruto opens the bottle and says, "Hey, help me get her to open her mouth, dog boy." Kiba was too busy laughing his ass off until he heard the dog boy comment and saw his sister was about to break free and walked over and twisted her ear making her cry out, and Naruto shoved the pill down her throat. A few seconds later the girl moaned and Naruto and the Hokage released her and she asked what the hell happened to me. Naruto asked, "What's your name?" The girl looked around and Kiba said her name is Hana and she is my bitch and you want to know what happened. You went into heat and tried to mate with him. Pointing toward Naruto. Naruto said nice to meet you Hana and thanks for the help as he held out his hand to Kiba. Kiba shook it and said Kiba. The third looked at Naruto and asked why did you not mention that before Naruto? Naruto said hey, I have only encountered 5 women in that time I ever had to worry about and the last time was a year ago. I thought that it might have ended, but apparently not. If I knew it had not I would have mentioned it. The third mod said, I want you to send a summon to Tsunade and ask her for a detailed report on that and your other unique abilities in next week's Naruto. I won't show anyone else, but for my own private records. Naruto nodded and said sure old man. Making a few people snicker and Iruka said show some respect brat. As he caught himself. Naruto said I only show respect to people I don't like or don't know well enough. The old man here I consider a grandfather to me in a way, so I refuse to call him anything else. I call Tsunade Bachin and Jiraiya Arasanan. Hell, I even call Princess Kazuhana Koyuki, Yuki, and Kisame Hoshigaki, Sushi. I'm sorry if you don't like Iruka-san, but you have to realize something. Just because someone is a leader of a country or a clan head or someone important does not mean they are not human and sometimes wish to be referred to as such by their friends and family. Hell, if you want me to show respect and proper manners to people, then you may call me Namikaze-sama since I am the son of 2 Kages, as well as an apprentice of 2 Sanins at one time, as well as the only reason this village is even standing today, since my father could not actually kill the kyubbi, but had to seal it inside his newborn son, exactly 2 hours after I was born, but where my father failed I somehow succeeded. Taking off his shirt enough to show the broken seal and the tattoo of Rip Kyubbi, making everyone who were afraid a moment ago when he mentioned the Kyubbi being in him question themselves. Naruto said, and I saw the look you had on your face the moment you saw the whiskers on my face. Looking at Iruka and Mizuki one of the curses I have to bear because of my father saving this village, so I know you already called me demon in your heads because you're like most people in this village. Can't see the jailer who makes sure the prisoner is locked away because of your hate. Even when the jailer executed the prisoner. Most likely someone you cared about died during that creature's attack. Well guess what? My father died stopping it and my mother was murdered by a member of the council so I could be made into a weapon while my father was saving this village. I came back to this village to find out what was so special about it. My father and mother both died protecting it and the only things I have seen so far are mixtures of fear and hate. As he turned and started to leave. The third who was shocked about the outburst as well as the new information said wait Naruto. You said your mother was murdered. Do you have any proof and who did it? Naruto sighed and said I had proof. Danzo ordered her death and the man who actually did it tried to kill me when I left the village at age 5. He even bragged about it when he tried to kill me. Angel jumped in the way and took it from me. I pulled her from her back and killed the man. It's how I first got her bloodline. So I am sorry I made a mess of your classroom today and I will come by your office tomorrow old man. If you wish for me to leave the village I will. It appears I got my answer I wanted to find out. I returned to see one of the few people I care about and also hope to make new friends and I learned I will never be more than a demon to the people of this village. The sad thing is I don't feel hate for you and the rest of this village. I feel pity for it. And he left a swirl of flames shocking everyone. Iruka for his part was stunned. He just tried to teach the kid a lesson in being respectful and in the course of a few minutes the kid confessed about killing someone, one of the village's top S-rank secrets, about why he was hated and admitting the reason was not there and making everyone see him in a new light. He felt guilty now since he had nearly called the boy a demon. He looked at the sad eyes of the and asked if what he said was true. About his mother I mean. The third said Iruka, I believe every bit of it was true. Danzo was the first to say he had no family at the council meeting and he would have been the only other person who knew what the Yondaime was actually doing and every council meeting he tried to get control of Naruto to be turned into the village's weapon. It saddens me and makes me question why I remain the leader of a village full of demons. As he walked out of the class sadly ignoring the shocked looks on everyone's face. Outside the classroom a dog mask Abnu thought I have to hand it to you Naruto, if you ever want to give up being a ninja, you can be one hell of an actor. Back inside, Iruka looked at the confused faces of his students and said, "Class. Since we have had so much ruckus and I need to have that window fixed, I am cancelling classes today." Everyone got out of their chairs quietly. Normally they would have cheered and been happy, but with what they have seen and heard they had a lot of questions. Over the next few hours, the Hokage was greeted by Heishi, Inoichi, Shibi, Chauza, Tsume, Shikaku, as well as a few others including Iruka. Some wanted him gone, but a few others with questions and comments. The thing is, no one noticed the bird sitting on the windowsill sleeping there the whole day, or when it finally tried to fly away only to fall and go up in a puff of smoke. The next day when Naruto walked into the Hokage's office, he looked like he was ready to leave the village, and the third looked up at him and said, "What are you doing here, Naruto? Aren't you supposed to be at the academy?" Naruto looked confused and said, "But I thought after what happened yesterday everyone in this village would have demanded I leave." The third said, "There were a few people, but most who came to see me yesterday actually asked for you to stay in the village. I guess not all hope is lost for this village." With a small smile. Naruto smiled at a small one and said, "Perhaps not an old man." The third chuckled and said, "Before you go, why did you not reveal that to me about your mother?" Naruto sighed and said, "I asked a lot of you when I asked to help protect my finances. My mother's dead, and unless the Shinigami appears and offers me some kind of deal, I will never see her again. I have a future with my fiancés, so I trade what's left of my revenge for now to protect them. If my path ever crosses Danzo, he's dead, but I won't go looking for him." The third nodded and said, "At least you are better than the Uchiha. He plans to kill a man because he killed the man who killed his family." Naruto asked, "So what now?" The voice from behind him said, "Well now, you need to get your ass to the academy. Almost the entire class is wondering if you are coming or not." As Naruto turned and saw Iruka standing in the doorway. Naruto looks at the third person who said, "Get to class." Naruto smiled and said, "See you, old man. By the way, look at the monument." As he started to leave. Both Iruka and the Hokage monument were wide-eyed as the mountain had been painted, but not in a way to make it look like graffiti, but in a way to show the Hokages as they were. Pride and love for the village. Though the third chuckled as he read the billboard above. In bubbles above each of their heads, the Hokages each had a saying in them. The Shodiums had, "Why would my bloodline not be something better than controlling plants? My wife makes me rake the leaves after I use it." The Nidaime had, "Let's see, if I were to make it where every Friday the entire village has to wear white, I can have a wet t-shirt contest. I wonder when Jiraiya's next book will come out." And Yondaime said, "Why can't anything exciting happen instead of paperwork?" Iruka was wide-eyed and asked how. Naruto said, "The village needs to up its security patrols, old man." Iruka looked at the Hokage who said, "Leave it up for the rest of the week, then take the billboard down. Leave the paint since he made them look lifelike." Iruka turned to Naruto and said, "Come on, brat." And took him to the academy. When Naruto walked in, everyone looked at him and he noticed a few people actually smiled at him. Things were changing for the better, though the Kai coming off Mizuki will have to be dealt with later. Iruka said, "Okay class, now that our new student is here, let's do a quick review on chakra and its applications." Making a few people groan. Over the next few days the class settled down with the new student in their midst. At first everyone was unsure about how to approach him until Kiba said, "So Namikaze, what do you like to do besides make my sister honey?" Making everyone who heard him sweat drop. Naruto said, "Well, first off, call me Naruto, Namikaze makes me feel like I am old. You helped save my ass, so I guess I can be myself around you. I like to pull pranks, in fact the Hokage monument was me, which I gotta clean up tomorrow. Who is your companion if you don't mind me asking?" Kiba was wide-eyed and said his name is Akamaru. "You did that?" Pointing to the monument. Naruto said, "Yeah, I figured if I was leaving I might as well do something to make everyone remember me. Anyways, I also write books and make a lot of money doing it." Kiba asked, "Oh yeah, what kind of books?" Naruto smirked as he saw several people listening to him and he said, "I'm the author of the Hermit Diary series." Making several people thud who heard him, including a red-eyed woman who was in a tree watching her daughter. Naruto said, "Shit." As he saw several girls pull out copies of his book and he grabbed Kiba and ran up the side of the academy building using chakra, stopping everyone, though one could have done the same thing except Hinata had asked what she was doing there. As Naruto and Kiba landed on the roof, Kiba was looking at him and asked, "Hey, how did you do that, man?" Naruto looked to make sure no one was following and saw Shikamaru and Choji sitting on the roof and he said, "Chakra control. Remind me not to mention that book again around women." We both were about to be mauled. Kiba looked back down at the girls on the ground and sweat dropped before saying, "Man, you just screwed yourself. You officially have a fan club now." Making Naruto look over and groan as he saw signs saying different things to try and get his attention, like, "Sign my book, you the best, can we work on making the next edition?" Naruto sighed and said, "And the woman said men are perverts." Anyways, besides pranks and writing, I also play shogi and I love eating different foods, though my fiancé Nan can make the best onigiri rice balls in the world. Choji said, I doubt that, man. Nobody can beat my mom's onigiri. Naruto looked over and said, oh, is that a challenge? Choji said, Choji, and this is Shikamaru, and I suppose it is. Looking at Naruto. Naruto said, fine. And he bit his thumb and swiped the blood on the weasel and said, summoning. And a 3-foot weasel appeared and said, what do you need, Naruto-sama? Making all 3 of the guys around him wide-eyed. Naruto said, I need you to go to Nan and ask her if she can send me some of her fresh onigiri. Someone here says they have tasted better. That is if she has time to. The weasel bowed and Kyubbi asked, what is that and what are those tattoos? Naruto looked at them and said, summoning seals. Each of the animals pictured on my arm are summons I can do. Shikamaru took a quick look and then closed his eyes before darting back at it again and said, you have 5 of them. Naruto scratched his head and said, I think it's actually 6. The one with the Shinigami on it I'm afraid to use because of Arasanin, and I believe that it might be the dad who used to call the Shinigami to seal Kyubbi and me in the first place. Kyubbi asked, don't you know since it's on your body? Naruto sighed and said, when I was around 6, the guy who took me away from the village as a request of my father and trained me along with his wife and daughter were traveling when we were attacked. I don't know who the guys who attacked us was, but I know they had Iwa headbands and he told me to take his daughter and run, which I did, and something happened and my entire memory was lost from that day to I was about 9 when Tsunade saved my life and broke whatever happened to cause me to lose my memory. However, everything I did during those years is lost to me. Angel, my other fiancé, was with me during that time, but she said she won't tell me under orders from Tsunade since it could actually hurt my memory, then make it come back. All I do know is that during that time Kyubbi died. I got this tattoo on my arm which originally had the puppet, the fox, the sword, the scrolls, and the Shinigami. With help from Iro Sennin, I was able to learn everything I had in them and how to work them, and then I was given the summonings by my friends. Just then the weasel reappeared with a bento full of onigiri and said, Nansama asked me to tell you that she loves you and you better not be taking after Jiraiya and peeping on women at the bathhouse or else. Before it went up in smoke. Naruto picked up the bento and opened it and handed one to each of them and they ate it and Choji paled and said, I take it back, hers is better than my mom's. Please forgive me, mom. As he looked down with sorrow before taking another bite, making everyone laugh. Shikamaru asked, how good are you at shogi? Naruto looked at him and said, the only person to beat me is my fiancé. Want to play a game? Now there are things in the ninja world that will never be answered. Where the hell Tenten pulls such big ass scrolls from, and where do women always pull out weapons from when they a moment earlier were naked in the hot springs? Another of these mysteries is how the laziest guy on the planet can move at incredible speeds that even a Sharingan can't follow and make a shogi board appear ready to play like it's a life or death battle. This is the case with Shikamaru. Naruto started to play in a very unorthodox strategy that made Shikamaru raise an eyebrow after 5 moves and put his hand in a thinking pose. Choji saw this and knew what he was doing and said, you must be good because only his dad ever makes him think like that. As he ate another onigiri. Kyubbi groaned and asked, how can you play that? Naruto asked, do you know where shogi first came from, Kyubbi? Kyubbi said, a box. Naruto snickered and said no, shogi was actually a game invented to help some general or leader or something like that into making more strategic battle plans to win battles. Note, I am not for sure about that, but it sounds good and I actually want to learn to play it, but nobody I know even knows what the game is, so I am unfortunately dumb when it comes to the idea, so don't sue me. They say that if you can play this game and become good at it, you can plan a strategy using 10 men and beat 50 with just simple planning. Most of the fights I have been in I have used strategies like the ones I use in this game. Kyubbi looked at the board with renewed interest and asked, so you're saying that if I spent time learning to play this, I could be a stronger and better leader? Naruto said, better leader yes, stronger no, this is a battle of the mind, but you will be able to make better decisions that could make you stronger. Kyubbi looked down at this thinking he found something to make him a better clan head when he grew up and Shikamaru said, I can't believe it, but we're going to tie. Making a choke and Naruto asked how many moves. Shikamaru said 31. Naruto said, damn, I only thought about 25, how smart are you really, and don't give me your book grades, since I have seen that you only answer just enough to make sure you will be on the same team as Choji here when we graduate. Making all 3 look at him. Kyubbi asked, what do you mean by that, man? Naruto said, simple, from what I have seen and heard about Konoha they always put the rookie of the year with the dead last and then everyone else they base is similar to that, but also those with about the same grades and 1 strategist, 1 taijutsu specialist, and 1 user. Shikamaru asked, how smart are you? Naruto said 189. Shikamaru said 204. Naruto bowed and said I see. Kyubbi asked, what are you both talking about? Naruto said IQ. Most people are between 120 to 160 on IQ. Because of the training and things I have seen and done, I am a little smarter than average. Shikamaru here on the other hand is a genius. Anyone with over 200 is a genius. Just then the bell rang and Naruto groaned and said, I feel a need for a prank, anyone interested? Making all three look at him. About 10 minutes later all four were in class when the door opened and a woman walked into the class and Haruka asked, who are you and what are you doing here? I am trying to teach my class. The woman looked around and said, oh, I was looking for a young man named Mizuki Tauji. Mizuki looked at her and said, I'm Mizuki, what do you need from me? The woman said, I got something for you, young man. As she reached into her purse and pulled out a scroll and handed it to him. Mizuki asked, what is it? The woman said, inside that scroll are details of an account that was set up for you as an infant that has been closed due to a business decision on the part of the bank. Now if you will excuse me, I must leave. As she turned and walked out of the room. Mizuki looked at it, opened the scroll and started to read. Mizuki Tauji, I am here to inform you that an account has been set up for you by. Suddenly the scroll exploded and pink paint covered Mizuki as the scroll burst into flames and the entire class burst out laughing and Haruka was looking at Mizuki with a mixture of laughing at his misfortune and fear of whoever did it and he screamed, settle down, making everyone shut up and try to stop laughing. Mizuki screamed, who did it? Making everyone look at him questionably and then at each other. Kiba said, what's wrong, Miss Tauji? In between howls of laughter. Mizuki became pissed and moved faster than most could look and appeared in front of Kiba with his fist drawn back to punch him when Naruto appeared in front of Kiba blocking the punch in his hand, shocking everyone by not only his speed but that he caught the punch and he said, Kiba, you alright? Kiba was shocked and said, yeah man. In disbelief and then he looked at Mizuki in anger and said, what the hell is wrong with you? Naruto squeezed Mizuki's hand and said, I don't know what your problem is. Obviously you did something that makes people want to pull a prank on you, but nobody will lay a hand on a friend of mine as long as I can stop it. However, I think should you have finished that punch you would have lost the ability to have sex. Isn't that right, Akamaru? As he looked at the dog in between Mizuki's feet ready to bite him in the nuts. Haruka said, that's enough Naruto and Mizuki, I want you to go, get cleaned up and don't come back until you see someone with that anger. Mizuki said, you can't order me to do that. The voice from the window said, no, but I can. In a cold voice making everyone look and see the face of the dog mask Avnu. Haruka asked what Avnu is here for, sir. The Avnu said, I was in the area on guard duty and I heard the explosion and decided to investigate. Now you're coming with me, Mizuki, to see the Hokage. As he walked over and both left as a swirl of leaves. Naruto started back over toward his seat and Kiba grabbed his arm and said, thanks man. I owe you one. Naruto smiled and said, that's what friends are for, man. Besides, I think team deserved worse than what he got. As he turned and walked back to his seat, Haruka looked at him and smiled to himself. Naruto was not a bad person like he originally thought, though he wondered who pulled that prank on Mizuki. As class continued, Naruto saw the looks a few people were giving him and smiled. Making friends was easy when you knew them. Over the next few days Naruto got to know Kiba better. The one thing he knew for sure was that Kiba was loyal as long as you didn't betray that trust. He also got to know Choji and Shikamaru better. Naruto tried some of Choji's favorite foods and the two compared notes and Shikamaru started playing Naruto seriously and started winning, though they were close matches. He vowed never to underestimate Naruto again. The day Naruto was sitting under a tree when a bug landed on his arm and Naruto looked at it and said, hey, you hungry? I would feed you my chakra, but I think your colony would not like mine, so how about some rice? As he laid some on the ground. The bug ate it and flew away and a boy in a nearby tree raised an eyebrow at what his bug told him. Deciding to take a chance, he appeared in the tree by Naruto, who surprised him when he said, your Kakachu don't bother me, though I don't suggest having them try and take chakra from me. Even though Kyubbi is gone, I have a lot of its chakra still in my body to keep it from killing me. They might die from it. In a normal voice with his eyes closed. Shino asked, how do you know about my bugs and what they do? Naruto bit his thumb and ran it across the seal of scrolls on his arm and said, Konoha clans. And a book popped out and he tossed it up to Shino, who caught it and looked at it and said, I see. Naruto said, I thought if I was going to return to Konoha, I should be prepared as best as possible to make the most logical decisions I could, though I am human and do make mistakes. Shino used a bug to appear next to Naruto and said, you are unusual. Naruto said, true, but I respect those who know the pain of being burdened with another life, whether it be bug, demon, or other things. The name's Naruto and you are. As he looked at Shino. Shino looked at him and said, Shino. Naruto nodded and said, I am getting ready to play Shikamaru, a game of shogi. I want to come. Choji and Kiba will be there and Kiba is learning how to play from Choji, who is trying more of my fiance's recipes. I would like to get to know you better, and I think you would like someone else to get to know you outside of your clan if I were to guess. Shino studied him looking for any sign of deception and found none and said very well, no frogs please. Naruto snickered and said, unless your bugs are made of sweets, the only thing they have to worry about the frog I summon is a contact high. But out of respect for them and you, I won't summon a frog unless there is a battle. Shino nodded and asked, why do you talk and act like a seasoned shinobi? As him and Naruto walked toward the academy. Naruto sighed and said, just because I admitted to killing once does not mean I have not had to do it again. If I see someone I care about in danger, I will do everything in my power to protect them. Including sacrificing my life. How much do you honestly know about Shino? Truthfully, on your clan's honor. As they stopped walking. Shino was quiet for a moment and said, I know what you told us at the academy. I also know that there is more to you than you let on. My bugs told me that you live in a building that is considered to have better security than the tower. You also seem to know more than you claim. My bugs told me that you speak the truth, but also that it's a half-truth. You edit things for what reason I don't know. I also know you have a connection to another village. Naruto nodded and said, I will tell you about it, but let's join the others first. They deserve to know also. As they continued to walk. A few minutes later the pair walked onto the roof to see Kyubbi lose to Shikamaru and Choji while eating, and Naruto said, hey, I got someone who wants to get to know us. Making everyone turn, and Choji said, hey Shino. Who nods back. Naruto smiled and said, well, I guess I can tell you all now. Shino and I were talking and he raised a few questions I think you all should know. Making everyone look at him and Shino. Shikamaru said, this is about the way you came into town and why all the clan heads are going out of their way to make you happy. Naruto sighed and said, I guess that's to be expected. You all heard about the hidden village and waves that appeared in less than 10 years. Making everyone look at each other and nod. Naruto said, well, because of my book sales and also because of a financial advisor my father entrusted me with. I am self-supported. When the people I was traveling with at the time learned about a man named Gato. The same who was a millionaire and shipping tycoon, we were not impressed with what we found out. It turns out he used his money to pay the politicians in an area and then used missing nins and merc to force people into slavery, prostitution, drugs, and other illegal activities. He was in wave at the time and had just about crippled the economy there, and one of the local heroes of the village who tried to stand up to him was about to be publicly executed in front of the entire village to prove a point of what would happen should they not follow his rule. We stopped him and helped them get back on their feet and even went as far as helping them build the bridge that connects them to the mainland. We talked with them and came up with the idea of forming a new hidden village to help protect them. I used about 80% of my money to help get supplies, equipment, food, labor, and other things to help the village get built. It was not just what I did for that village, but also for the entire country as a whole that they offered me a job. Dibba said it's the least they could do for you, paying for everything. In a joking manner. Naruto smiled and said they named me Yonde Nemekis. Making all four of them wide-eyed. Shino asked, then why are you here if you are a cage? Naruto said simple, I helped get the village going, but I do not feel I was the best person to be leader at the time because I know a cage is supposed to have over 1,000 and be able to protect the whole village. I don't know how many I do know and never really bothered to look, and I thought that if people found out a 10-year-old was the cage of a village they would not respect the village and might attack the village, so I looked through everyone until I found someone who believed the way I did and respects everyone no matter if they had a bloodline, money, clan, flat-out broker and orphan, and I named him the Nidame. Over the next 2 years I showed him everything I was planning for the village and then retired officially this year, exactly 4 years from the day I was named Shadame and almost halfway through my term in office. Since I was so helpful to the village they still view me as the leader though I stepped down. Now I am more of an advisor on matters and since I had promised the Hokage I would come to Konoha before the kids my age graduated I came back. I can't reveal secrets of the other village, which is why I have this seal on my neck so someone like that blonde in our class can't enter my mind. There is more to it, but under orders of the Nidame Nemekis, as well as the Sandame Hokage, I can't tell you anything else, except when I become a ninja, I will be considered a ninja of both villages, like someone who has a political marriage to another village. Everyone listened to him, and Shikamaru said so there is going to be an alliance between our village. Naruto looked at him and said I can't say one way or another. I wish I could, but I can't. Hibba asked, so what's it like being the leader of a village? Naruto groaned and said, too much paperwork. Making everyone snicker. Naruto smiled and said, hey Kyubbi. You said you wanted to get stronger, right? I can't tell you anything else about how come I am an academy student, but I can tell you something that could make you stronger and better. Getting everyone's attention. Kyubbi asked, really, what? Naruto asked, you all saw me climb walls and stick to the ceiling, right? I can teach you all how to do that, and if you practice it a little each day it will make your chakra control go up, as well as how much chakra you have, meaning you can do it longer. Any of you interested? Everyone looked at him, and Kyubbi said show me. And everyone else gave looks of interest. About 10 minutes later Naruto was standing upside down off of a tree branch, having thrown a few kunas on the ground, and said too much chakra you blow off, too little you don't stick. Use your kunas to mark how high you can get. Once you can make it to the top no problem, run up and down the tree for an hour without having to stop, and then I can show you the next step. Choji looked scared and asked why do we want to do this again? Naruto sighed and said tell you what. How about we make a bet out of this? Making everyone of the four look at him. Shikamaru asked, what kind of bet? Naruto said if you all can work together and get to the top of the tree and back down without stopping one time before the end of the day, I will teach each of you one. They all looked at each other and Kyubbi asked, what? Naruto put his thumb to his chin and said how about a fire that my fiancé made that shoots fireballs out of your ass? With a straight face. The look all four of them gave him was pure lust, and Kyubbi said, if you can show us it then you got yourself a bet. Naruto smirked, putting his hands in seals too fast for them to see, and said fire style farting fire, and he bent over, and a fireball shot out of his ass, and hit a tree blowing a hole through it, and all of them grabbed, and started going up the tree. The Nabnu who was watching quickly left, and appeared in front of the Hokage, and said sir, I have something to report. Making the third look at him. The third asked, what is Raven? Raven said I was watching Namikaze, as you requested, and he got the heirs of the Nara, Akimichi, Aburami, and Inyazuka clans, teaching them tree climbing. The third said that's nothing I should be worried about. It's a good skill to learn, and the earlier the better. Raven said, but he told them that if they all could learn it by the end of the day, then he would teach them, and he demonstrated it for them. The third said, really, which one? Curious since most of Naruto's skills are unknown. Raven said he called it fire style farting fire and it shoots a fireball out of the user's ass. Making the third spit out the coffee he was about to drink. The third said I see, thank you for bringing this to my attention and let me know if anything else happens. Return to your post. And Raven leaves. The third asked, what kind of sickness is that? Bakashi, who was on guard duty in the Hokage office today, said, a brilliant one if you think about it. Making the third look at him and ask what do you mean? Bakashi said well, suppose you had been captured and your hands were tied behind your back and could not get to your mouth to use a fire. If you had that you could possibly free yourself of the kill you capture. It might also be good for an assassination mission for some of our female ninjas, should they have to seduce the target and have to be nude or something, though I am just guessing from what Raven said. The third nodded and said I see your point though I will talk to Naruto about it tomorrow. Let's see what progress those four make. 2 hours later Kyubbi and Shino were still trying, and surprisingly Choji and Shikamaru both got it, and Kyubbi asked, why is it that me and Shino are having such a hard time at this, and those two already got it? As he was panting. Naruto giggled and said alright. Time to tell you all why you can or can't do it so far. As he grabs 2 handfuls of leaves and jumps down at the group and puts all of the leaves in one hand while he holds one in the other and says okay, Shino, Kyubbi. The hand here I have that is full of leaves is your chakra levels. Shino has a lot since his bugs eat him so that they will follow his command, and you Kyubbi have it from all the physical exercise you do with your family. Now Shikamaru and Choji here don't exercise as much or use their chakra like you two do so they have less to control like the single leaf in my other hand. Now a single leaf would be easy to control as the leaf floats into the air and then he said, but with all these other leaves added to it makes it more difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. As he had them all float off his hand, but not as easily as the single leaf had. Kyubbi said so it's harder for us to do it because we trained harder. Naruto said basically yes. That is why I wanted you all to do this exercise. Say in a fight Shikamaru could capture you and outthink you, but say if while he was thinking of a plan here and out of chakra you who would be fighting to make him use his more would break free and beat him, so you see it is a balance of brains over strength. This exercise is a high genin exercise and you normally would not be allowed to learn it until several months into your years, so I am giving you all a head start to be a better ninja. If you have this down then you can learn this next. As he walked out onto the lake shocking them all, and he said this is the next step of chakra control which is a level technique. It is an extension of tree climbing, so the sooner you can do tree climbing the sooner you can do this. They both not only help increase your stamina, chakra control, chakra levels, but also endurance. Since it's almost dark I will give you all another chance to learn that fire. If in 2 weeks you can do the tree climbing up and down the tree one time, and the water walking where you can cross this river both ways one time I will teach it to you, but only if you all learn it, as a group. Shino can be an exception if it is harmful to his bugs on the water walking, but if it is then he has to be able to make it up and down a tree 5 times without stopping. Everyone was thinking, and Choji asked, how long did it take you to learn this, Naruto? Naruto said the tree climbing took me 2 days to learn it, but Angel did it right on her first try. However, after I got it down, I had to learn how to water while being attacked in a hot spring, so I learned it quickly. As he shivered, making them all fearful. Tiba said, I won't back out of this, and will take your challenge. Right, guys? As he looked at the others, Naruto said, well, since it's Friday, I got things to do this weekend, so see ya. As he left in a swirl of flames. The next day Naruto walked into the Hokage office and he smiled and said, what can I do for you, Naruto? Naruto handed him a scroll and said that the medical report from Tsunade on me that you asked for. The third smiled and asked, so how's the training coming? Naruto said, well, they missed a first deadline to learn as I promised, but I gave them another deadline with a tougher challenge. They have to learn both tree climbing and water walking and 2 weeks to learn the same. I assume Abnu told you. The third said yes, what rank is that and what does it do to Naruto? Naruto said C rank. It's a concentrated fire like the regular Phoenix Fireball, however unlike it you don't have to take a deep breath and alert your enemy to the use of it. Instead you just have to have a fart and Yaochu able to do it. The best thing about it is that it can't be copied since no bloodline I know of can register the release of gas from here, but unless it is heightened senses, then they would be running away from the gas, not the fireball. With a smile on his face. The third shook his head and said, please don't teach them anything over a C rank, Naruto. I could order you not to teach at all, but I know you would go behind my back. Naruto said, sure, old man. Well, I guess I will catch you later. And he left to go relax and write to his fiancée. Thanks for watching. Let's start the story. It has been about a month since Naruto arrived and his friendship with Kiba, Shino, Choji and Shikamaru has been going great. Sasuke, after hearing about what Naruto did outside the academy the first day, had been secretly following them, but somehow every time he gets close enough to see they are all sitting taking a break and it pisses him off. The man he wants to kill can use both Naruto uses, so he knows he has to have them to beat the man. Sakura and Ino both have ignored the little group and chased after Sasuke. Hinata has been too shy to do anything, which is how Naruto got into the situation today. Here he was at the gates of the Hyuga compound awaiting an audience with Hiashi Hyuga. After a few minutes a branch member came out and said, follow me. As he led Naruto into the Hyuga main house. A few minutes walk led him into a large study and the branch member said, please have a seat, Namikaze-sama. Hiashi-sama shall be with you shortly. Naruto nods and walks over and sits down waiting patiently. Hiashi walks in with both Hanabi and Hinata each on one side of him and he sits down while both stand and he asks, to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit, Namikaze-san? Naruto said, please call me Naruto Hyuga-sama, and the reason I have come is because some information has come into my possession that I believe you would like very much. Hiashi said, really, Naruto, what kind of information would that be? Naruto said, as you are aware, I have ties to the hidden village of Wave. During a mission to Cloud, a friend of mine recovered some important documents of the Yondaime Reikage, and with those documents were the exact details of the kidnapping attempt on Hinata that the Godaime Reikage had planned, including how they knew where her room was. All three Hyugas were wide-eyed, and Hiashi asked, how was it that your friend was able to get these documents? Naruto said, since nearly everyone in this village knows what a Jinchuriki is, I can tell you she was the Jinchuriki of Cloud before we helped her escape, and she was also the daughter of the Yondaime Reikage who was assassinated by the Godaime. Unlike me, she has completely absorbed the demon that was sealed into her. She went to collect her family scrolls and also some personal effects of hers, and while she was there she also broke into the safe in the Reikage office and got her father's diary, as well as all the other documents in the safe which had this. As he pulled a scroll out of his pocket, Hiashi looked at it and asked, what is it you want in exchange for it? Naruto said, after I received this scroll and read it, I was originally asked to give it to the Hokage to deal with it as he saw fit because the information in it could have several people executed for treason. However, I thought that it would be better for you to handle this matter yourself, Hyuga-sama, since I found out about your nephew and also the effect it had on Hinata here. Hiashi looked at Naruto and asked, what is it you wish to accomplish with this offer? With narrowed eyes. Naruto said, I have 3 requests I would like to request, but I will give this to you to deal with free of charge, and if you choose to listen to my request afterwards will be up to you. As he handed the scroll to Hiashi judged Naruto and picked the scroll up and started to read as his eyes got wide for a moment and then he closed the scroll and asked, what is your request? Naruto pulled out another scroll and said, I have 3 requests and they are listed on this scroll. 1 request that will help Konoha, 1 request that I believe will help your clan, and 1 request for myself. As he handed it to him, Hiashi opened the scroll and read, Hyuga-sama, my first request is that the clan ask for permission to do a detailed security search of the village. I have noticed in the short time I have been here there are several places in the village that should an enemy decide they could hurt Konoha, including the hospitals, the Hokage Tower, the academy, the walls of the village, the residential area of the village, as well as the main gates. I know Konoha has had several years of peace, but I believe that it is always best to be safe than sorry, and I figure your clan's bloodline would be able to look at an area from different points and determine security risk. My second request is that with the information I provided you that you do what they tricked you into not doing. Unifying your clan. I have also noticed that Hinata has talents in other areas besides the Hyuga fighting style, and I believe that her skills would be able to increase if she were allowed to develop these skills. She could bring a new look for your clan and make them even more famous and proud. The area I speak of is medical skills. I wrote my observations about her to my friend Tsunade when I was requesting my medical information for the Hokage, and she said if you would allow it, then she would send information that would enable her to tap into that potential. My last request is a personal matter. Even with the kyubbi no longer in me, I do have a risk to myself. My body has a massive chakra reserve that is near fatality levels for me. Jiraiya sealed it all away because when he and Tsunade found me, my coils were at the point they were about to explode. The problem is every 6 months the seal he created releases 5 of the chakra into my system, damaging my coils, and Tsunade gave me one of her forbidden healing to repair the damage it does. However, she has always been around to ensure that there are no holes that do not repair and kill me, and since she is unable to currently come to Konoha for another year, I need some way to have my coils checked while being discreet about the matter. I requested someone who you trust with total secrecy, even to those of your clan, check my coils after the process and inform me if there are any leaks. The person should also check my coils before the process so they have a base to compare it to. Thank you for your time, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Hish looked at the scroll and said, you have given me a lot to think about, Naruto. When is the next time that the process should occur? Naruto said, I have about 5 weeks before it will happen. I currently have 40% of the total that was sealed away and have 60 left to tap into. Hish said, I do believe that all of your requests are reasonable, especially with what you have offered. I will need time to weigh my options. Is there anything else I should know? Naruto said yes. I know that there will always be bad blood between Cloud and your clan, but if my friend from Wave ever comes to Konoha for either missions or the exams, please do not treat her as you would someone from Cloud. She hates that village with every fiber of her being, and she also has a connection to your clan. Making all three look at him. Hish asked, what do you mean? Naruto said, perhaps it would be better to discuss this privately, sir. I know you trust both your daughters, but what I have to say could be used against every person with a bloodline and must be treated very carefully. There is already one person who knows what I do and is currently trying to take advantage of it. Hish narrowed his eyes and said, very well, Hinata, Hanabi, please leave the room. After both left, he asked, what is so important that I cannot tell my daughters? Naruto sighed and said, do you know what will happen if I die, Hish? Making Hish confused, and he said nothing. Why? Naruto said, wrong. Since I am the only source of kyubbi left on this planet because of my body absorbing it for almost 6 years, the moment I die Sasuke Uchiha will go blind. Making Hish confused. Hish asked, what would kyubbi and you have to do with the Uchiha? Naruto said, I know why kyubbi attacked Konoha. I also know that there are more than one Uchiha left alive right now. Hish saw the serious look on Naruto's face and asked, how do you know this? Naruto locked eyes with Hish and he found himself in a world with a blue moon in the sky, and Naruto said, welcome to my bloodline world, Hish. I call it the Kitsune world. As she looked around, he asked, where are we and why have you brought me here? Naruto said, the seal my father put on me had a special security feature to ensure kyubbi would never be able to mess with my mind until I knew it was there. When I left the village, the Hokage had told me about the fox. I soon met the fox in my mind and it gave me 2 memories and they explain why it attacked the village. I brought you here so that I can show them to you and so you will know why my friend is connected to your clan. Our bodies are still in your office and we are currently in my mind. Now I am sorry to do it this way, but I can't take the chance someone will overhear. The world shimmered and then it reappeared in a dark cave. Kyubbi was sleeping when 3 men walked into the cave. Kyubbi opened his eyes and asked, who are you mortals and why have you come to my den? One stepped forward and said, my name is Kyenyuzu and this is my brother Johnny. This is my best friend Madara Hyuga. We came to ask for your help. Making Hish eyes wide as he was seeing the first 2 and the first Uchiha standing there. Kyubbi said, what is it you ask of me, humans? Hien stepped forward and said, we are the leaders of a group of nomads and we wish to create a home for our people. However, we have no way to build it or protect it because our people are starving and tired of being chased. We came to you to ask for your help to protect us while we build our home. Kyubbi was quiet for a moment and said, I will not protect you, but I can give you gifts that will help you. I see one of you already has a gift from one of my kind. looking at Madara. Madara said, if you mean my bloodline, it is more of a curse than a gift. I am a branch member of my clan who flees with nearly 30 of my family to start a new life. Sadly, I am all that remains because the others have either abandoned us or have died. I don't want this gift. Kyubbi was quiet and said, very well. You shall have mastery of plants, you shall be able to make trees grow to make shelters for your people and food for them to eat. Johnny, you shall have mastery over water so the plants may grow and your people will not die of thirst. Lastly, we have you. You will have the mastery of fire. You will be given the task of protecting the others of your group and ensuring their survival, since I will have to deal with Nibi over this. Now this will hurt. As three tails wrapped around the three men and engulfed them, and they screamed out in pain, and after a few minutes the tails fell backwards and showed that all three men's looks had changed, and she gasped as he saw the Sharingan in Madara's eyes. Kyubbi said, be gone and do not disturb me again. And the memory faded and Heish asked, so that's how the Sharingan came to be. Naruto nods and said yes, now it's time to see why Kyubbi attacked. The world changed again, and this time Kyubbi was asleep in its den again when a single figure appeared and said, hello Kyubbi. It's been a while. Making Kyubbi look and asking, who are you, mortal? The man said, oh, I am sure you remember me. After all, you did give me this lovely eye. Showing the Sharingan. Kyubbi said, Madara Hyuga, but how? You should be dead by now. Confused. Madara snickered and said, oh Kyubbi, I must thank you for this gift you gave me. I mean, sure, being able to use fire as I can and all the other abilities it has is great, but my favorite one is the gift I got when I killed my best friend, the key. To think there was another level to this eye and all you have to do is kill your best friend. Kyubbi narrowed its eyes and said, I should have let you suffer with your old bloodline. Now die, human. As it went to swipe its paw at Madara when suddenly black flames shot out of his eye and burned Kyubbi, and then more black flames came and he said, yes. Amaterasu is my favorite ability. It burns for 7 days and 7 nights. I told the secret to my entire clan and we are waiting for you, Kyubbi. Oh, and to answer how I am still a living demon, I learned I can transfer my soul and my mind into another body and make it my own, though I stay with my own clans since it has such a nice gift. Kyubbi said, if you kill me I will have my revenge because your bloodline will not work without my chakra still in this world. Madara laughed and said, I am all too aware of that. You think I tricked those two fools to come here to get a bloodline without knowing how they were started? I read my family archives before I left looking for a way to escape the seal, and I learned that should the demon who creates a bloodline die and all traces of its chakra leave this world, then all the bloodlines that demon creates shall quit working. I know this. That's why I have plans to make you a prisoner forever. Ha ha ha. As he leaves in a swirl of leaves. Kyubbi, who is crying in pain, said, I shall destroy you, Madara, and your entire clan for this betrayal. As the flames continued to burn. Suddenly the memory faded and Naruto appeared in front of the house and said, my friend who has absorbed her demon is Nibi, the same demon who created your bloodline. My fiancée Nan also is like her since she is a Jinchuriki, but she has absorbed her demon as well, but not before finding out some information. As long as one of our descendants lives, then the other bloodlines will continue to work, so the girl who had Nibi in her has to have a child, or when she dies you go blind. And the world faded and Heish found himself back in his study. He was quiet and asked if Madara is the one who knows this and is the one still alive, isn't he? Naruto nodded and said, you see now why this information is so dangerous. Jiraiya has been gathering information for a few years on a group who plan to capture all the tailed demons. Now what would happen if all of them died except for Kyubbi? Heish's eyes got wide at the implications and said every hidden village would become crippled instantly. Naruto nodded and said, I guess my opinion of demons is a little one-sided, Hyuga-sama, but when you see those two memories and then live the life I had, my ideas of demons and monsters are a little different. You don't need Kyubbi and you to be a monster. Well, I know I gave you a lot to think about and how to spin this best for your clan and all, but personally I think you should unify your clan, remove the council, make the Neji clan head after you, remove that seal, and find one that protects your family without enslaving them. Take care. As he walked out. On his way out he saw Hinata standing looking at the ground and he slipped a piece of paper in her hand as he walked by without stopping. Once he was gone she looked at it and read, not liking to fight does not make you weak. Sometimes the strongest fighters are the ones who heal. Become a good woman and make your mother proud. Screw the council and be yourself. I'm proud of you. Hinata smiled to herself with a real smile and went to her room to change. She had things she wanted to take care of. Naruto was walking away from the Hyuga compound when he sighed and said, so how long are you going to keep sneaking around and following me, Sasuke? As he turned to look at the boy who was hiding behind a tree. Sasuke said, fight me. Naruto turned and started to walk away and Sasuke ran at him and tried to grab his shoulder to turn him around when Naruto stepped to the side making Sasuke overbalance himself and nearly fall on his, but from pulling backwards. Naruto kept on walking and Sasuke charged again and Naruto safely stepped aside again, this time making him fall forward, but he rolled with it and came back to his feet and tried to hit Naruto who looked bored and then did a walking slide step to make it where his back was flushed against Sasuke and said, "Your hate's not strong enough little brother." In a whisper just loud enough for Sasuke to hear making said boy freeze in his place as flashbacks of the massacre went into his head. Naruto walked away some more when Sasuke pulled out a kunai and charged Naruto screaming "I'm going to kill you." As he tried to stab Naruto in the back. Naruto smirked and replaced himself with Sasuke whose momentum still carried him, causing to roll down the hill and into the lake below, and Naruto said, "What was that about Sasuke? You called me Itachi and then tried to attack me." Making Sasuke flinch. Sasuke who was sitting in about a foot of water glared at him and asked how do you know that? Naruto asked no what? I asked you why you kept following me and then you told me to fight you and I walked away since I don't feel like a spar today and then you called me Itachi and charged. Who is Itachi anyways? Sasuke looked trying to find some sign of lying and saw the confused look on Naruto's face and tried to remember it and he decided to worry about it later since his pride had been destroyed and said HMPH. As he got up and walked to the shore and started going toward the Uchiha district. Naruto smiled and said your turn dear. As he turned and walked back toward his apartment. When Sasuke got back to the Uchiha district he saw Itachi standing there in front of him and he said if you wish to kill me, hate me, detest me, and survive in an unsightly way. Run, and cling to life. And one day, when you have the same eyes as me, come before me. As he stood in front of a house and started to laugh a sick maniacal laugh that made Sasuke hold his head and scream out in pain. Suddenly smoke started from inside the house, then another and another and another. Soon smoke was seen coming from all of the buildings in the Uchiha district as they all burst into flames. Suddenly on the ground in front of Sasuke in blood the word murder appeared and he saw ghosts of his clan's men walking around pointing fingers at him, calling him murderer, failure, traitor, you killed us, as he held his head in pain. Then, as suddenly, as it all started it disappeared and Sasuke was rocking back and forth saying I killed them. I killed them. Over and over again. The fox smiled as she looked at the shattered person she just left behind as she turned to go visit her fiancé. When she got there she saw Naruto and Nan sitting at the table with a plate for her and Nan asked so how did it go? Angel smirked and said I say with the mental damage I just did with that illusion, he should go from Rookie of the Year to dead last fast. Nan nodded and said the Uchiha pride is what started this mess. Having my brother show the world the dark side of the clan will allow the changes that need to be made by me for our children easier. It will also serve to change the town's view of him. As she took a bite of rice. Naruto said with that info you got for me, the Hyuga clan is about to undergo a drastic change. If things go like we planned, Yujito will be able to live in Konoha after we finish Akatsuki. Nan said, all in good time. All in good time. Naruto said I'm glad that you both could come here and see me. I was getting lonely. Angel asked, lonely enough to do that? Naruto sighed and said no Kitsune. I told you we had to wait until the exams. I can't take the risk that one or both of you get pregnant before then, and don't say you know about birth control, because none of us know for sure what our bodies will do now. How did you get here anyways? Nan said well we told your dad we were coming to see you, and if he said no, then we would have your mom show him why she was a cage. Naruto shivers and says I think she and Ibiki are related. I did not know you could do some of the things she came up with for torture. Angel asked, so if you won't let us do that, can we at least take a shower together? Naruto had exactly .002 seconds to register the words before he found himself tied to the shower wall naked, watching both his fiancé wash each other off making him groan and say, this is so not fair. Nan said then you better make it fair. With a hint of lust in her voice, as Angel rubbed some soap on Nan's breast. Naruto groaned as he felt himself being turned on even more when both of them started to kiss and he tried to get free, but couldn't. Each one moved closer toward him and kissed him, but when he went to make contact they pulled back and each took one of his balls in their hands and started to rub. He was in a mixture of pain and pleasure and wanted more. After several moments of this both women smiled at him and away as a blast of ice cold water hit him causing him to scream out in frustration. About 5 minutes later Nan came into the shower dressed and kissed him and said I'm sorry but we can't do anything until the exams. We have to go now. As she turned off the water and walked out of the room. Angel came in a moment later also dressed and kissed him also as she said we would hate to disobey our finance's wishes. As she cut the wire holding him in place and away before he could do anything. When he walked out of the bathroom he looked around for them and saw a book on the table and a note. He picked up a note and read, "Dear Naruto, we're sorry to leave you hanging, but if you're still hard up you can always try to relax with some light reading or hand exercises for stress. Love, the Fox and the Weasel." Naruto looked at the book and groaned as he saw Icha Paradise on the cover. About 3 miles away from Konoha, Nan asked, "Do you think we were a little mean?" Angel said no, remember what he did to you the first day you met. Nan said oh yeah. Payback's a bitch. Even if it comes from something other than a dog. As laughter echoed in the forest. Tiesh always considers himself a proud man from a proud clan, but with what he read and heard yesterday from Naruto takes the cake. He spent most of the night in the Hyuga archives and he came across something he never would have dreamed. The true origins of the Hyuga bloodline. Just as Naruto had shown him. It was because of this that he now stood in front of the Hokage's door and entered his office. The third looked up from his paperwork and said, "Hello Hish, what can I do for you today?" Tiesh said, "I need your help with a problem." 3 hours later, the third Hokage stood on the balcony of the Hokage Tower looking at the citizens below. He still can't believe this is about to happen, but it was required. He cleared his throat when he saw everything was ready and said, "People of Konoha. I have recently been given some information about a conspiracy that nearly caused the destruction of Konoha. Making mummers go out throughout the crowd." The third said, "I have placed Avnu around the area to ensure the ones responsible will not be able to escape. As many of you know, 9 years ago we signed a peace agreement with Cloud Village. As some of you know, that was a trap so they could kidnap the heiress to the Hyuga clan. The new information that has been brought to my attention revealed that not only was Konoha a fool in the matter, but the Hyuga clan as well. The information I received gave not only detailed reports of the guard schedule at the Hyuga compound, but also blueprints, as well as times to enter the compound without being seen. There were also detailed reports on the security of the village. Now many of you probably understand that all that information could only come from someone inside of Konoha. That is correct, and, as such the ones responsible are now considered traitors to Konoha. Their goal was to ensure the death of Konoha shinobi, and also an act of revenge for what they felt was unfair treatment in their former home, and they planned for Konoha and Cloud to destroy each other. They are none other than the 6 elders of the Hyuga Council themselves. Making everyone gasp, as suddenly the 6 men dart away trying to escape only to be publicly killed by Avnu and Hyuga branch members. After the 6 men were dead, the third said, "Now that they are dead I have some more news." Hiashi Hyuga has announced that by the end of the year all the seals on the Hyuga branch family will be removed and the seal that Minato Namikaze created to unite the Hyuga clan will be placed on all members of the Hyuga clan, as there will no longer be 2 houses. This is a great day for the Hyuga clan and a great day for the village of Konoha. Destroy those traitors' bodies. As he walked back inside the tower leaving a shocked and stunned group of citizens. Naruto smiled as he looked out of his window and said, "So what do you think, Kakashi?" As he turned to see Kakashi sitting in a chair in his apartment, Kakashi shook his head and said, "You play a dangerous game, kid." Naruto said, "Oh, but the real fun just began." Kakashi asked, "Do you know anything about what happened to Sasuke?" Naruto looked confused and asked what happened to the team. Kakashi sighed and said he had a mental breakdown. Naruto sighed and said, "I guess the pressure of not having Itachi to focus on is making him crack. It's not healthy for him to live in his clan's grounds. I think it should be destroyed and built new." Kakashi said, "So do I, but we can't until Sasuke takes possession as clan head." Naruto said, "If Kakashi. Nan could take over as clan head anytime." Kakashi said, "True, but then she would have to reveal herself." Naruto nods and asks, "So when are you and Rin getting married?" Kakashi said, "We decided to do it while in wave. Have sensei do it." Naruto smiled and said, "I will let him know." Kakashi said, "I was wondering. How good is your wind manipulation?" Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. The next day Naruto stood on training ground 13 and asked, "So what is it you want me to do again, Kakashi?" I came running up with his team that seemed to be panting and Kakashi said, "Guy, I have a challenge for you." Making all of Team 9 wide-eyed as Kakashi never challenges Guy. I asked, "What is the youthful challenge you have for me, Kakashi?" "I shall prove youth conquers all." Naruto's shape shifts into a 100-year-old man with a cane and says, "Now listen here, young whippersnapper, don't make me beat you silly with this stick for shooting those youths." As he hit Guy over the head with the cane before he changed back, ignoring the snickering of everyone. Kakashi said, "Right, Guy, here is my challenge. You have bragged how your student never misses a thrown weapons. Correct?" I said, "Yes, my eternal rival, her youthfulness shines brightly to give her perfect aim." Kakashi smiled and said, "My challenge is this. Tenten can throw as many weapons as she wants and has to try and get blood from Naruto here. Naruto will not be allowed to move from a 3-foot circle. If she cannot get blood from him with a long-range weapon attack, then I win the challenge. Do you accept it?" I looked at Tenten and said, "I accept, Kakashi. Let's do this." Naruto said, "You do realize I will have my revenge for this." as he was put into a 3-foot circle on the ground. Tenten said I can't do this. He will be hurt. Naruto said you're confident huh? Tell you what. I will make this even more challenging. If you can't hit me while I am blindfolded, then you have to go out on a date with a boy in green spandex. However, should you hit me and draw blood, then I will pay for you for an entire month at the hot spring. Do you accept chicken or are you too scared to be a real female ninja like Tsunade? I filled the area and sent chills down everyone's back as Naruto stood there smirking, pulling out a blindfold from his pocket and tying it around his eyes. Tenten asked, are you ready to bleed blondie? Naruto said you are ready to date the jolly green giant. With a smirk on his face. Neji thought fuck drawing blood, she going to kill him as he saw her pull out 2 scrolls and started doing hand signs and bit her thumb before saying twin rising dragons. As she jumped into the air and started throwing weapons at Naruto who smirked and spun in a circle one time while screaming Rasengan Kaiten stopping facing forward like he had for the first time as a huge shield of chakra and wind formed around him, shocking everyone. Neji said that's. Naruto said it's the combination of the Hyuga Kaiten and my father's Rasengan. However, unlike the Hyuga one where you have to keep spinning, I only have to spin one time. It is the ultimate defense, as well as the ultimate offense, as weapons are bounced off of the shield still with the blindfold on. Kakashi asked, what do you mean to insult Naruto? Having never seen anything like that and could not copy it. Naruto said simply, what happens when you break a Rasengan? Kakashi was wide-eyed and said I see. I asked, what happened to Kakashi? Kakashi said, as you know, Guy the Rasengan grinds the internal organs of the person it comes into contact with. However, if you break the shell of the Rasengan, all the destructive nature of it is channeled out of the spot it breaks, destroying everything in its path. In other words, all that chakra would destroy whatever was able to break it. I only know one that could break it, and that is Chidori, and if I did it would kill me. Making Guy realize exactly how strong that is. Tenten soon lands panting, and Naruto cancels the technique while doing hand signs and says Kamatechi as Tenten uses chakra strings to try and make them hit again as they are blown away. Naruto smirks and asks do you yield because I count you missed 400 times just now since you tried 2 times with 200 weapons. Everyone was stunned and Tenten asked how. Naruto said your weapons are good, but if you ever face a wind user, then you will miss every time. By the way, I heard from Kakashi that you don't use Taijutsu since you don't like the academy style or the Iron Fist style of Gaze here. If you want I can get you Tsunades to just do scrolls to learn so you have something to fall back on if your weapons fail again. As he pulls off his blindfold and everyone is shocked as his red eyes turn blue. I asked what was with your eyes. Naruto said if I channel chakra to my eyes they turn red, but the problem is if I channel chakra to one of my senses they all receive some, so when I channeled them to my ears to hear the weapons coming my eyes got some also. As he walked toward the others. Naruto suddenly disappeared and reappeared beside Lee and said so what's your story Green Bean? As he looked at Lee. Lee was shocked at his speed and asked how are you so fast? Naruto pulled out a book and flipped it open and said you say something. Making nearly everyone face fault. I turned to Kakashi and asked have you taken on a student? Kakashi who was reading said you say something. Making everyone look between Naruto and Kakashi. Tenten narrowed her eyes and asked why does a guy read a female romance novel? As she tried to figure out some way to get some respect back. Naruto flipped the book closed and showed her the back that showed a picture of the author and smiled as she got wide-eyed. He said I was just checking the newest volume and making sure the editor did not take something away from what I wrote. Here. It's got some good date ideas for you and spandex, by the way, what's your name? As he tossed her the book and then looked at Lee. Tenten gaped and Lee said your youthfulness burns brightly. My name is Rock Lee and I challenge you. Naruto said Taijutsu only. Making everyone wonder why he would not use ninjutsu or. Lee said very well. I accept. Let's have a good match. Naruto held his hand looking at Guy and Kakashi and asked any limitation on what we can do. Kakashi said to Naruto, you're still technically an academy student but please don't do anything that will kill him. Naruto said so in other words no gates or destructive combos. Making everyone look at him questionably. I said, Lee, do not underestimate this person. Naruto who was about 30 feet from Lee said to Lee, take your weights off because if I drop mine, this will be over before you have a chance to. As he got into a stance that made Guy wide-eyed. He asked, how do you know the Uchiha Interceptor stance? Naruto said I only know 4 styles of Taijutsu. One is brawling, one is the academy, one is the Uchiha Interceptor, and the last is the hummingbird. I don't want to kill him, and since I can pretty much guess how much weight he has on I know brawling and academy won't work. As he stood ready to fight. I said, but without the Sharingan you won't be able to use it properly. Naruto said perhaps. Shall we begin? I said Lee, take your weights off. making the rest of his team look at him like he was crazy. Lee only had 200 pounds on each leg so far, but the increase in his speed was crazy. Lee nods and takes off his weights, and Naruto bites his thumb and reaches for the tattoo on his wrist and says 90. As he shifts his neck from left to right and says let's begin. Lee charges forward and goes for a punch, and Naruto blocks it and sends one to Lee gut only for Lee to jump back, and Naruto follows through with a leg sweep, taking Lee's hands out used as a springboard, causing him to fall on the ground. Naruto appeared above him with his finger pushed against the bridge of his nose and said that was good Lee. Shocking everyone including Kakashi. In less than 3 seconds he had beat someone who was gaining the rumor of the second coming of Guy. I said I see, you really can use the interceptor style. You say that you know Hummingbird as well. Naruto nodded and said yes, though I dislike using it with Hiraishin. It's too slow. Making everyone look at him like he was crazy. Kakashi asked, what do you mean Hiraishin is too slow? Naruto said, how about I show you what I mean? All 5 of you grab 10 stones and put them in a pile in front of you. Kakashi uses your Sharingan to prove what I am about to do. Get around the clearing and let me know when you are all ready. I will then say starting, and you see how long it takes for me to run 10 laps around this field. Everyone was looking at him like he was crazy, and Neji activated his bloodline and Kakashi his Sharingan. They all gathered 10 stones each and one by one said ready, as they were at least 100 yards across from each other. Naruto bit his thumb and touched the seal on his wrist and said 1. Ready or not, here I come. Suddenly a stone disappeared in front of Neji, as a Naruto appeared in front of him while the original was there, then one in front of Kakashi, Tenten, Lee, then again, as a second one appear, and on around, as 2 were seen around, and so on, and so forth until there was 10 Naruto standing in front of each, and then Naruto said done. In less than 3 seconds, as everyone was gaping. Kakashi and Neji were floored as the images started to disappear, and Guy asked, what was that Naruto? Naruto said I call it a flash step. Unlike the Hiraishin that requires the kunas to go from point to point, flash step is true speed, and what you saw was my after images when I stopped long enough to grab 1 stone at each spot. It is great for open area battle, but it has 2 flaws. Kakashi said at that speed you can't dodge. You literally have to stop and change directions. Naruto nods and says yes, and the second flaw is that every minute I use it, it eats about 10% of my chakra. That is why the Hiraishin is better, since you don't have to worry about obstacles or chakra, flash steps you do, and given enough time, and obstacles someone could suddenly he turned around leaving an after image, and he had a sword in his hand slicing through that was aimed at his back, shocking everyone, and Naruto said what's your problem Sasuke? That's twice you have attacked me from behind. As Sasuke came out of the woods holding another. Sasuke said you're just like my brother, always better than everyone, always being a genius, and for that I must kill you. As he charged Naruto. Kakashi was about to stop him when Naruto shook his head and said to Sasuke. I will not fight you. As he began dodging all of Sasuke's lunges. Sasuke said then I will kill you. As he went to stab Naruto in the heart. Naruto smirked as the blade stabbed him and blood splattered on Sasuke's face, shocking everyone, and Sasuke began to laugh maniacally as he ran off into the woods. Kakashi asked as everyone went over to the body. So where did you learn to clone Naruto? As he looked at the one in front of him turned into a pile of blood, and Naruto walked out of the woods and said about a year ago. It was an accident actually. I was trying to figure out a way to make cage bunshin last longer. Tenten asked when did you have time to make it? I did not see you do it. I said when he split them in half. I figure he made one in the woods when he felt the coming and then replaced himself with the clone who had the sword. Naruto said yeah, luckily he does not have his Sharingan or he would have seen it. Think that Abnu who is following me caught him yet? Kakashi. Who nods. Neji asked why did you let him believe you were dead and not fight back? Obviously you are more skilled than you appear, so why? Naruto sighed and thought God I sigh a lot and said simply, I am here in this village right now on a probationary program that will benefit both Konoha and the village of Wave. Since Wave has not been in a genin exam yet, their ranking system is not recognized, and that is why their village cage could be an academy student as far as the rest of the world cares. If I were to open a fight then it would look bad on me and on Wave. I care for Konoha, but I also care for the other villages. I can come here with Kakashi and do his little challenge, and, as long as the senses here do not say I can't, then I can spar with you and show some of my skills. I can't show any of my more powerful skills since it would require me not to be an academy student and future genin. If I would have punched him, especially with my weight sealed off, then I would be in trouble. Kakashi asked how much damage would you do with your weight seals off? Naruto walked over to a training log and flicked it and it shattered, shocking everyone. Naruto then bit his thumb and wiped it on the seal on his wrist and said 100. As he closed his eyes and a ripple came off of his body before it returned to normal and walked back to the others. Lee asked, how much weight do you have? Naruto said my body always weighs 140 pounds at 100 times Earth gravity would be 14,000 pounds, so 7 tons. As everyone's jaws hit the ground. I asked, how? Naruto narrowed his eyes and looked at the woods, making everyone question, and he said Kakashi, get them out of here. We got company. In a commanding voice. Suddenly a scythe came out of the woods toward the group only to be deflected by a Naruto sword. The voice from the woods said I see the Jinchuriki could detect me. I guess the rumors about your skills are true. Naruto channeled chakra to his eyes and they turned red and he said there's another one 200 yards behind us in a tree called Kakashi, get them out of here and alert Anbu to protect the village. I don't want collateral damage. I was on the defensive and asked who are they? Naruto said 2 members of Akatsuki. One of the men is an S-rank missing nin and I don't know the other. Guy, you need to worry about your students so take them and leave. I can hold out long enough until baby arrives. Kakashi sighs and leaves in a swirl of leaves to inform the Hokage. Guy looked at Naruto and said I can't leave you here. Naruto appeared behind Tenten and knocked her out and said you have no choice, your team is down a member and she needs medical attention, go. As he looked around. I looked and saw Neji pick Tenten up and he nods and his team takes off and a figure appears on the tree branch and said, you seem to know a lot about us Kyubbi. Naruto smirked and said sorry, she's dead, but I will send you to her. As he appeared beside Hayden and kicked him away as he grabbed the scythe from him and sliced it in half with a sword destroying the handle and the blades. Hayden skids to a halt and says you're a quick little bastard. I must sacrifice you to my god. As he started to draw a seal on the ground. Naruto's eyes widened as he had to duck from a punch that was directed as his head and backflip over the follow-up kick only to receive a slash across the arm. Naruto asked, who the hell are you? As he got into a fighting stance, the figure was a man with 5 scars going down his face and he wore a hidden rain headband with a scratch through it and he said, my name is Barso and I am here to ensure you don't disappear again on us. Hayden said hey Barso, check out the kid's finger. Barso looked and said so, whose ring do you have? Orochimaru Sasori. As he looked at Naruto. Naruto chuckled and said you will find out when you're dead, I guess I better get serious. As he bit his thumb and ran his finger across the Shinigami and suddenly there was a puff of smoke and instead of Naruto standing there Arachner Cage decked out in his full battle outfit and mask making both men jump back as embedded itself in the ground in front of Barso and Cage appeared with a Rasengan in his hand, shoving it into the man's gut only for him to turn into a pile of mud. Naruto turned quickly and caught a mini scythe Hayden had pulled out of it but he was unprepared for the kick in the back causing him to drop his sword so as not to cut himself as he rolled away. Naruto sighed and did some hand seals and he was covered in smoke again and he appeared normal confusing both men when suddenly they saw 6 units of Avnu coming from down the way and Naruto had his eyes turn blue and charged Barso again who was reaching for Naruto's sword and kicked him in the side of the head. Unfortunately Barso was able to grab Naruto's sword and slice him in the side, cutting him deeply. Barso went to deliver another slice at Naruto to try and weaken him by cutting his arm off when Naruto stepped into the slash, having it slice him across the chest instead as he grabbed the sword and in one fluid motion he kept momentum up and sliced Barso through the neck removing it from his body, killing him as Hayden jumps away and said, we will meet again Kyubbi. Naruto sighs and reaches down and removes the ring from his finger and starts to stand up when he feels dizzy and his vision blurs. He said shit. Poison. As he falls, as Kakashi arrives catching him and he hears Naruto say poison, so he quickly takes Naruto to the hospital, leaving everyone else to clean up the mess. When Naruto awoke he groaned and tried to open his eyes and saw only black and he said well this is new. Am I dead and if so where is that Shinigami bastard at? As he tried moving his head. The voice said no kid, you're not dead, but we're close. Naruto recognized the voice and said Angel, is that you? Where are we and why can't I see? Another voice said you're in Konoha and have been in a coma for 6 weeks, little brother. You can't see because I had bandages put over your eyes so you would not go blind with everything that happened. Naruto reaches for them only for him to feel his hands are restrained and Naruto asks, why am I tied down Bachin? Tsunade sighed and said listen Gaki, you don't know how close a call this one was. If you had not killed that guy and the Avnu gathered his weapons and kept his body until I arrived you would have died. This guy makes Orochimaru poisons look like child play. It had over 60 different poisons and 30 different drugs to screw up your mind and body. Anyone else this would have killed within seconds so I can say that this was specifically made to take you and the others out but not kill you. Naruto was quiet as he listened to it all and said what about the seal? Angel said that was how we were able to save you. Tsunade, Hish, Jiraiya and Inoichi all helped save your life. Inoichi had to take over your body, as Jiraiya broke the seal on your neck for long enough to do the hand seals to break the seal on your head to restore your body, after we flooded it with your stored chakra. Tsunade and Hish spent 3 hours still healing you after that because of the poisons. Naruto was quiet and asked what effects this had on me in the long run and what's been happening. Another voice said your body is back to normal physically, but your chakra system is screwed up. Naruto said old man, your heart also. Who else is here? Tsunade said just the 3 of us. Listen kid, I don't know how to tell you this, but your chakra control now is like you never had any, so pretty much your entire skills are gone now. That poisoned your system in so much trouble that with the addition of the seal, mine, Hish, and the tainted chakra with poison mixed with it all together made it where you probably can't even do tree climbing. 3 2 1 Na shouted Naruto, as he wanted to cry over his loss of control. Angel said relax, with your Kage Bunshin training you should be back up to par in a few months. Naruto sighed and asked so what happened while I was out. The third said well, Sasuke believed that he actually killed you since he attacked you and was arrested by Amnu and released after I told him that attacking anyone in the village was against the law and not showing up at the academy made him even more sure of it. And since I did not want to cause a riot with 2S rank missing men sneaking into this village, so I neither confirmed nor denied it, letting everyone look at him for answers while you healed. Naruto nodded and Angel said guess what Naruto-kun. Nan, and I made you a gift. Naruto was curious and asked what is Angel. Tsunade walked over to him and removed the bandages to his eyes, and after getting rid of the spots from the bright light, he saw the 3 looking at him and he smiled, and Angel handed him a scroll and he bit his thumb and unsealed it and smiled and said when can I get out? Tsunade said tomorrow. Naruto nodded and said old man, I got 2 requests. The third said only if I get to ask one myself. Naruto said sure old man. The third asked are you art? Tsunade put her hands over his mouth and said first sense, there's something I need to talk to you about. We will be back in a few minutes Naruto. And walked out the door. Naruto looked confused and asked what's going on? As the door was closing. Tsunade sighed and the third looked at her and said what's going on Tsunade? Tsunade looked around and said can we talk somewhere private? The third nods and they both go to his office. When they got there he looked at her and she said this can't reach Naruto ears or anyone who does not already know. Okay. The third nods and looks at her and she said you were going to ask if he was Arachnar Kage, weren't you? The third nodded and she said yes and no. Making the third confused. He asked me to explain please. Tsunade sighed and sat down and said there's more going on than we can explain in front of Naruto. You are already aware of Danzo men attacking Kage and hitting him with a real nasty right. The third nodded and said well Naruto's mind has built a second personality. The real one that you see now and the other one which was his smiling fake mask when he lived here in Konoha as a child. The mask, as we call it later became another personality when he made the deal to get rid of Kyubbi. The third asked so you know what the deal is? Tsunade said yes, me, Angel, Nan, Minato, Kushina. The third slammed his fist against the table and said what the hell do you mean Minato and Kushina? Tsunade sat back and said they're alive again along with 3 others. The third was wide-eyed and said how when, where, as he tried to gather his thoughts. Tsunade sighed and said summon Kakashi and had him bring his fiancée. I won't explain anything until they both get here. The third looked confused but did so and about 10 minutes later Kakashi walked in with his fiancée and the third asked now will you explain? Tsunade looked at the woman and said show who you really are. The woman said to Kakashi there's something I need to tell you. As he looked confused. She suddenly started to change making both the third and Kakashi wide-eyed and it turned into a Rin. Kakashi took a couple of steps back and said Rin, but how? The third said I want to know that myself. Tsunade said, as I was saying, when Naruto made a deal to get rid of he was given a task that he had to complete. From what I was told when Dan and Iwaki were brought back to life that there had to be someone that would act as a payment should Naruto fail to complete the task he agreed to. The third asked, what is this task? Tsunade said basically Naruto had to kill 5 people. All 5 men have broken the law of death and have found different ways of being immortal. He's killed one so far when he killed Sasori who had turned his body into a puppet. The third listened and asked who are the other 4 and why have I not heard about this before and where are Minato and Kushina? Tsunade said you have already met Minato. He's Nidame Namikaze. The third was wide-eyed and after a moment he said I see, so that's why you are all staying close to Wave. Tsunade said mostly. The deal had some side effects on those who agreed to be paid, which I was one of them. It turned me back to the same age as Dan. Jiraiya went back to the same age as Minato. That was how I was able to have children again by both Dan and Jiraiya. The third looked at Rin and asked what are you doing in this village and why have you not informed me of what's going on? Rin said I wanted to, but if I would have revealed we were all alive, it could have led to another great war and people trying to find out how it was done. Minato-sensei also told me not to. I have been handling all of Naruto businesses here in Konoha and sending information to him about how you are doing and making sure the ramen stand did not close and also tracking what Danzo was doing since he was the one who killed me and Kushina. Kakashi clenched his fist and the third asked what do you mean and are sensei and his wife really alive? Rin said yes Kakashi, they are. I was the nurse who delivered Naruto. When sensei left to do the sealing one of Danzo's men came in to kill Kushina. I tried to stop him, but he killed me, and my last sight was him preparing to kill her since she was asleep. Kakashi asked what death was like. Rin said I don't know. One moment I'm dead on the hospital floor and the next I was standing in front of the others who had been brought back to life, as well as our sponsors. The third sighed and asked why can't Naruto find out. Tsunade said remember how I told you how he had the other him, that was a fake. Everything he did as Arachner cage was placed into the fake and that just messed up his mind and is still blocking those memories. Nothing triggered it yet. Naruto does not realize Minato and Kushina are his parents. He thinks they're really close friends. He does not remember the deal he made with the Shinigami or Kyubbi. The third said you never did tell me who the other men were and what exactly the deal was. I know to kill them to become immortal, but that can't be all. Tsunade said, well, the other person is Uchiha Madara. The third was wide-eyed and said he's still alive. Tsunade said, and he is the real leader of Akatsuki, as well as the reason Kyubbi attacked. He made a plan that he taught Orochimaru that allows him to send his mind and soul into another body, but permanently, and he attacked Kyubbi and tricked it into thinking it was Konoha's idea. Orochimaru is one of those men he has to kill because he has used that. That's why we think he's going after the Uchiha. Another is a man named Haiden who has some religion that, as long as he sacrifices so many people to his god then he is immortal, and the last is Kakuzu who takes the living organs of others and replaces his older damaged ones. He has 5 hearts from what we gathered. Basically the deal is Kyubbi wanted revenge, so he gave his life up and gave Naruto his bloodlines. The Shinigami wanted in since Madara was one of his targets, so he agreed to bring back people to help him train, but no more than the number he had to kill. Naruto first brought back his parents and they started to train him, but had 2 years to find sponsors. Jiraiya did Minato, and I agreed to train him if he brought back my brother. Shizune agreed for her uncle, but we made it where Shizune and Iwaki would be the same age, so I could be with Dan. Funny because it made it where those who actually got married and have a little girl now. I don't know who Kushina's sponsor is, but she said she had one, and since she was alive I never asked. Rin's sponsor is actually Kakashi. Kakashi was wide-eyed and asked what, but how. Tsunade asked, remember when Jiraiya asked you if you had a chance to bring Rin back to life, would you agree to it, and you said you would do anything? That was all the approval the Shinigami needed. Kakashi said so that's why I feel younger. Tsunade nodded and the third asked so what do you plan to do and how is Naruto so strong? Tsunade said, the 5 of us trained Naruto into the ground for nearly 2 years. We did the same for Angel who, as you may or may not know, was Vixen's daughter before she was killed. We thought about bringing Vixen and Shinra back to life, but Angel said they were happy and died together, so let them rest in peace. After the 2 years we split into groups of 2 to try and find those 5 men. Naruto and Angel just were lucky about finding Sasori. With what I discovered about one of Naruto's bloodlines that he got when he was trying to save Angel, I was able to make a serum that gave one of his bloodlines to others. It's the shapeshifting that Rin was using when she came in. Here Kakashi. Drink this. As she hands a small bottle out of her pocket. Kakashi looks at it and the third who nods and he drinks it and stumbles a little and Tsunade said cut yourself Kakashi. Kakashi looked at her and Rin said just do it. Kakashi sighs and cuts his hand and the third and he watches as his hand heals and the third says what happened. Tsunade smiled and said Kakashi, show your eye. Kakashi looked at her but showed it and the third gasped and Kakashi asked why don't I feel my chakra draining? Tsunade said channel chakra to your eye. Kakashi did and the Sharingan appeared and he said how? Tsunade chuckled and said stop channeling chakra and think of an animal or person and picture it in your head, though it has to be the same gender Kakashi, and then think of the word shapeshift. Kakashi nods and soon he transforms into a Beto and the third was wide-eyed and Kakashi looked at himself and changed back and the third said, this is amazing Tsunade, can I drink some? Tsunade sighed and said sorry sensei, but it won't work on you. The third asked why. Tsunade gave 4 reasons. First is that it works best on those who were part of the deal to bring others back to life. I don't understand why myself yet. Second is that only 3 people out of 30 I tested this serum on were able to get any form of this bloodline and theirs is weaker than the rest of ours. Third, the 3 people over the age of 35 I used this on died, and last is Minato said that the fewer people who have this the better since he hopes it will be a long-lasting bloodline for his grandchildren when Naruto has them. The third sighed and said I see. Kakashi, why do you look like Puckin now? Making everyone look at him, and Rin said you have an unhealthy obsession with that dog Kakashikin. Tsunade said okay, now that you know about how Kyubbi actually died and all of this, ask your questions. The third asked how good Naruto really was. Tsunade said if he went all out before this, Sannin. Even with 3 years of his memory gone. The third was wide-eyed and asked them what is the reason he is actually here and what is really going on with Wave. Tsunade said well, after what happened to Naruto, as a child Minato and Kushina don't feel they could live in Konoha without destroying it. They still care for Konoha, but their faith in it has gone way down, so they decided that it would be better to be of aid to Konoha, but also independent, and then with what we learned of Orochimaru, it solidified our plans. Kakashi asked, what do you mean? Tsunade said simple. Orochimaru has started his own village and is planning to destroy Konoha. Where it is we don't know, but we believe it is simple to figure out. When is the only time he could sneak an army into Konoha and also try to get the Uchiha. Kakashi was quiet and the third said I saw the exams. That's why you all don't want our alliance talks to be known until then. Tsunade said yes, we figure that we can get Wave Village recognized, gain an alliance for both villages, help protect Konoha, and hopefully be in a position to get Orochimaru. The third said hence why Naruto is here. He is supposed to be a guard to intercept Orochimaru before he gets Sasuke. Tsunade said what's family huh? The third was wide-eyed and said I see, so that means that she is one of his fiancé huh? Tsunade said yes, but that little info doesn't get told to anyone. She really don't like her family, especially with its dark past, and no, I won't tell you what I mean. I swore to her that I would not reveal it, and if I did Jiraiya gets to take our son on a 3-year trip without me, and there is no way in hell I will let that happen. Kakashi asked, what are you talking about? Rin said to Kakashi, there's something you should know. There are 3 Uchiha left, Sasuke, Nan who is Itachi's twin sister, and Madara. What you don't know is that Madara has also used that body switch and has taken over the body of Obito. Kakashi clenched his fist so tight that blood was coming from them and said I see. With venom in his voice. The third asked so what about Naruto, where is he in this? Tsunade said he has his skills. That's a good thing even without his chakra control, now he could probably give most and a few a run for their money. Especially with the flash step. Kakashi asked, how did he come up with that? The third said I was wondering about myself. From Kakashi and Gase reports it seems amazing. Tsunade asked when I told you Naruto was basically a genius, I meant it. Naruto bloodline allows him to copy most like the Sharingan, but Naruto doesn't like to really use the ones he copies unless he has to after the first time. He usually goes and makes his own version. The Rasengan he has created at least 10 versions of is amazing. He is also a combo freak. He likes to combine. He's made an in-gen kin hybrid called the harem that can make any man that is not gay pass out from blood loss. He took the Hyuga Ultimate Defense and the Rasengan and combined them. From what Zabuza, Kisame, and Raiga told me he made a tornado out of steam, wind, fire, and water. Making everyone wide-eyed and Kakashi asked around how many he knows. Tsunade was quiet and said regulars, his own, or both. The third said both. Tsunade snickered and said probably around 3,000 give or take 1,000. Making everyone wide-eyed. She then said his bloodline never shuts off and since he can see 360 degrees he's walked right down the middle of Iwa, Cloud, Mist, and most likely Konoha and just absorbs any he sees. He hates that, but it can't be shut off and no one even knows he has one unless they see the second stage and then it's all guesswork. He just never uses the second level unless he's in battle, so the range he does copy is pretty small. The third said I see. So what does Naruto believe is going on? Tsunade said he knows that Atsuki is after him since they think they can get Kyubbi chakra from him, and since Orochimaru is a threat to you, he wants to stop him, so we have not had to tell him about the actual deal yet or that his parents are his parents. They want to develop a relationship with him before he finds out. Nan has made it where he does not know about her bloodline, but with Angel's help convinced him that they are together since they got engaged after he helped to save her from Itachi. Kakashi asked, so he killed Itachi. Tsunade said partially. He set Itachi up so he killed himself with Nan's weapon by accident, but she don't talk about it. There is bad blood between her and the Uchihas, and she is actually glad Itachi killed them all, though she wants to get to know Sasuke, but not yet. She said he needs to grow up a little to understand a few things. Don't mention that she's an Uchiha to him or mention a rancor cage to him. To him that name is the fake name we used while he was Shadame, and we edit all bingo books he gets his hands on, so he does not learn about the killing, or that he is actually him. He hates killing, but he knows it has to be done. The third asked, why was he Shadame? Tsunade said he was Shadame for several reasons. 1. His money from his side business paid for most of the building and supplies. Shinro taught him business really well. Next was all the labor he and his clones went into the actual building. He built probably a half of the village himself. He personally met every person who came to the village and helped them settle in and made everyone feel like the village was a true home. When it came time to select a leader, he won every single vote in the village but one, and that was his. He thought Minato should have got it, but he listened to everyone's advice and set up a system of government that puts every other village to shame. A cage and council system that works and can't be corrupted, a tax system that is so cheap but works so well that actually makes it where they really don't have to do any missions to work. The schools and the hospitals he had built along with the village ninja force and standards are unbelievable. He worked along with Uraya and Minato to make it where anyone who has more chakra than a civilian is stopped by security within the first 30 minutes there if they come by boat, and they never make it across the bridge without being stopped. It doesn't matter if you suppress it or not. It's almost scary how he set the village up. If every village was set up like Wave is, then things would be different. The people of Wave respect him so much that when we tricked him into having the name Aranker Cage set up as his cage name, they all agreed for the safety of the cage's friends and family. They actually applauded him when he revealed what he really looks like to them. The third asked, what do you mean what he really looks like? Tsunade said Naruto is actually about a foot shorter than he looks and his body is not as developed as he looks, or at least the last time I checked him after his last birthday. Now Kakashi, be careful with that shape shifting. It's a little trump card. Kakashi asked, what's that tattoo on his arm of the Shinigami? Tsunade said we had sealed everything that connects him to Arachner Cage in that seal and convinced him it's the Shinigami sealing. If he ever uses it, he will be equipped with all his stuff to look like his alter ego, so to speak. Kakashi nodded and the third said, alright, all of you. This is going to be listed as a SS rank secret that can't be discussed with anyone in this village and only Minato and Wave. He will decide authorization there. I also want him to send me some proof within a month of when you go back to Tsunade that he is alive. I don't doubt you, but this is all a little hard to believe. Tsunade reached into her pocket, pulled out a scroll and unsealed it and said, here is proof. And handed him a picture that made the third wide-eyed as he saw everyone that was alive and dead like a family, along with a few he did not recognize. He sighed and said, fine. I believe you. So we should head back to Naruto and see what he wants. Kakashi, if you want to show your eyes back to normal, just tell them Tsunade made a new discovery about replacements she wanted to try out on you. You both may leave. A few minutes earlier after they left, Naruto looked at Angel and said, how bad is it? Angel said, we may have to reveal your parents are alive. Naruto nods and says Goto rims and gives her and Kakashi the backstory again to help them out. Tsunade, if she feels like it's enough to reveal, has been told that Rin is to be revealed. Angel nods and leaves in a swirl of flames. She shortly returned and said they just left for his office. Naruto sighs and says, I hope this works. Angel said, relax, I'm sure it will. As she gets in bed beside him and lays down to relax. 30 minutes later, when the third and Tsunade reappeared, Naruto looked at them and tapped Angel and said they're back. She nods and gets up out of bed and Naruto asks, so what did you want to ask the old man? The third said, well, I wanted to know what you really look like and why you make yourself look different. Naruto's shape shifts and turns into what he looks like before the time skip in the show and all his clothes are loose and he said, I don't like looking like a midget. I like feeling respected and as an equal and not having people look down on me, so I just made myself taller and older looking because of it. As he turns back into his older self. The third nodded and said, well, what did you want? Naruto said, well, I was wondering if I can use the Forest of Death to work on my chakra control first thing. With a smile on his face. The third paled and asked why. Tsunade and Angel both snickered and Tsunade said, just to prove it and see how he does it and you will understand. Trust me. The third nodded and said, fine, but I have to put a guard to watch you while you're there to make sure you don't get hurt. Naruto nodded and said, fine, but they can't tell I'm alive or what I'm doing. The third nodded and asked, what's the other thing? Naruto said, simple, Sasuke thinks I'm dead. I want to pull a prank on him that will stop him from attacking people who are allies or friends. The third thought for a moment and said, nothing lethal. Naruto said, no, I just want to use my new toy from my fiancé and scare him enough that he will piss himself. The third said, very well. If that is all, I have paperwork to do. Naruto nodded and asked, are you using cage buncheons to help you? The third said, yeah, but it still takes time because I only make 2 myself. Naruto nodded and said, good luck, old man. The third leaves and Naruto says, okay, what happened? Tsunade sighed and explained everything and then her and Angel left to return to Wave since Tsunade had not seen her kids in nearly 4 weeks to take care of him. The next day when he was released he went with the third to the forest of death and the third asked, so what is this training you wanted to do? Naruto looked around and asked, is that woman hiding the one who is my guard? The third nodded and said that would be Anko. So what is your training? Naruto said, give me a little room. As he bit his thumb and ran the blood across his wrist and said one, and then he closed his eyes as the third got back and forced as put his hand in a seal and screamed mass cage bunshin no jutsu and suddenly the entire area was covered in smoke and when it was uncovered both the third and Anko fell on their asses as over 10,000 clones were present and Naruto said, okay, you know what to do. Get to work. They all took off working on tree climbing, water walking, leaf balancing, and combining them also, as the real Naruto got to work on meditating, and the third said, I'm getting too old for this shit. As he leaves without saying a word. Anko just stood there unable to say anything. Thanks for what 3 days of 20 hours of chakra control exercises, Naruto looked at the woman who was sleeping in the tree and decided it was time. So far the plans have been going without much trouble. The third knows about people coming back and the lie about him having amnesia helped a lot. If the Raymond actually thought he was at full strength, he would never let Naruto be on a genin team, much less with Sasuke. It is a good thing we took the time to come up with contingency plans back in waves. Tenten had already faced her greatest weakness by facing a wind user and with a little push, she would be ready for the exams. Lee, seeing his speed and strength, will be more open to the idea of learning a few things from Naruto. Taijutsu is good and with his speed and power is one thing, but he could do a lot more with a weapon and a second style that can't be copied. Neji now free of his fate as a branch member won't hate Hinata any longer and the fact he saw what can happen to the ultimate defense will give him ideas to improve it on his own and Hinata will also get back to her future level by the exams with a little help. Shino, Shikamaru, Kiba and Choji will also be stronger. They won't be able to beat the teams from Wave, but they will be able to take out the Sound and anyone other than Gaara when the time comes. Having them work on their weaknesses will help. Ino was the wild card though. She could do better if he can convince her to stay away from Sasuke. Maybe breaking him a little more will help. Kabuto was also a wild card. Originally he was placed with Orochimaru by Sasori, but taking out Sasori might have changed his future, but only time will tell. Nan said not to worry about Sakura, that she would handle her, but how is the question? Oh well, time to take care of Anko. Were the thoughts of Naruto as he walked over to her and motioned for one of his clones with a nod who entered Anko and left the training area and Naruto kicked her foot making her jump with a kunai in her hand at his neck and she asked, what do you want Gaki? Naruto said, heaven or hell. Making Anko look at him questionable and she asked, what are you talking about? Naruto put his hands in a seal and Anko fell to her knees in pain grabbing her neck and Naruto turned to look at her and said, I was wondering if you had heaven or hell. As he looked at the seal on her neck after he removed her hand still holding the activation seal. Anko gasped out and asked, what do you want and how do you know about this? Naruto said, I'm a seal master. I like pissing Orochimaru off so I learned the secret of the curse seal and I want to remove yours to piss him off some more. As he released the seal and stepped back allowing her to catch her breath. Anko looked at him and asked, why are you interested in Orochimaru and how did you know about the seal on me? Naruto said, I will tell you, but only if you share a drink of sake with me. As he pulled out a sake bottle from a scroll. Anko looked at him like he was crazy as he drank some of it and he handed it to her and she looked at it and Naruto said, come on lady, you were the damn asshole's apprentice, so I know you can tell if it's poison or not. Anko sighed and gulped down a big swig and Naruto snatched the bottle before she had a chance to drop it as she held her pain screaming before she passed out. Naruto smiled as he unsealed a paintbrush and some ink and sat down beside her and started to draw a seal on her neck and the ground around her. About 30 minutes later he was done and he started doing hand seals and said demon pulse, seal reversal. As he slammed his hands into the seal on the ground and the ground showed blood red and Anko screamed out in pain as the seal worked its way up her neck and onto the curse seal until it shattered and she passed out again. Naruto smiled and sat her back where she was earlier and unsealed a stack of dango sticks and quickly made a leaf symbol on a tree and put an empty box and an empty sake bottle beside her and he started doing hand seals and said limit of bloodlines as he slapped his hands on her. He then turned and started working on tree climbing again. About an hour later Anko groaned and looked around and asked what happened. Naruto said you got drunk while eating dango and passed out having all kinds of nightmares from the way you were moving around. I still don't see why you wanted to get drunk after I broke that seal. As he continued climbing a tree. Anko looked around trying to sort things out and said, what are you talking about, what seal? Naruto said, the one on your neck. I saw it earlier today and commented on it and you said you would do anything to be rid of it. I got rid of it and you went and got some dango and sake and came back and made that design in the tree while eating it and watching me. you never even offered me any either. Making a pouting face. Anko looked at the tree and then looked at the clearing and saw that there was an empty box of dango and her flavor of sake and she looked around and then she pulled off her forehead protector and looked at the reflection of her neck and was wide-eyed and said, "Did you torture me with it?" With a quivering voice trying to get over the fact that she was free of it. Naruto asked, "Why would I do that? I think that was part of your nightmare, Anko." Anko grabbed her head and said, "I have all these memories of you in my head of your life and you are wearing orange." As she looked at him trying to figure out what was going on, Naruto started to laugh and said, "Me wears orange. Next thing you will tell me I'm shouting I'm going to be Raymond and believe it." Anko said, "Actually." Naruto started rolling on the floor laughing and said, "Please stop. You're making my sides hurt just by picturing it." Anko looked at him and said, "I guess you're right. What kind of idiot would wear orange?" Naruto said, "Yeah." In a little calmer tone. Anko asked, "Why did you remove the curse seal and how?" Naruto said, "I took an interest in seals since my dad was able to stop kyubbi with one and have become somewhat of an expert." Anko said, "Yeah, Jiraiya taught you." Naruto said, "Yeah, remember, I told you before you would let me do it." Anko shook her head and said, "I think it must be the stress of having the seal off that is doing it to me." Naruto walked over to her and said, "Yeah, it can be pretty messed up at times. Now don't be talking too much about strange dreams, Anko. Wouldn't want a little four-eyed medic nin finding out now, would we?" As he started to walk away. Anko said, "Yeah, Kabu," as she caught herself looking at Naruto and she charged at him as he stepped away and held a kunai at her neck. Anko asked, "How?" Naruto stood her up but stayed behind her and whispered in her ear, "Sometimes people get second chances. I am making sure some things are different this time around the train and getting ready for the finals. Don't tip our hand, but be in a position to interrogate prisoners for info with the new knowledge you have. Get to know a certain while you can." Anko looked at him out of the corner of her eye and asked, "How many know about this and what are you planning?" Naruto said, "Enough for now. Just wait until the trap is sprung on Orochimaru. He won't be leaving Konoha alive. Not with the help I got for us this time." Anko asked, "Why me?" Naruto said, "You deserve a second chance. I felt you would like a little more payback and also I remember you saving my life a few times. This is my way to pay you back." Anko asked, "How much does the Raymond know?" Naruto said he knows enough that Orochimaru is coming, but not the exact details. Let's put it this way. When the trap is sprung, Orochimaru is going to have a team that puts Atsuki to shame against him. Anko said, "You're a Ragnar Cage, aren't you?" Naruto smirked and said, "To remove shadow, to bring light to those who have lived in darkness and despair. Does that sound like me?" Anko chuckled and said, "Hell yeah. So what do you need me to do?" "I'm in." Naruto said, "For now, train. I gave you a little gift that will help you." Anko looked scared for a moment and Naruto said, "Relax, you have a weak version of my healing factor and you can play it off as part of having the curse seal removed. If anyone questions about it then I will suggest getting Tsunade and since she is in on everything." Anko nodded and said, "Who are the heavy hitters if you don't mind me asking?" Naruto said, I will tell you, but you're not allowed to tell anyone." Anko said, "For a chance to change things and for payment, I would rather die." Naruto said, "That's the woman I knew I could trust." Naruto pulled out a picture and said, "Well, let's see, we have Kisame, Zabuza, Haku, Raiga, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Angel who is one of my fiancés, Nan who is another of my fiancés, and by your eyes, I see you recognize my parents. We also have Kakashi and Rin who is his fiancé now, but not in this picture, along with Tsunade's other husband Dan, Shizune, and her husband who is Tsunade's little brother Nawaki. We also have Naiujido, the former of Nibi." As he pointed to each. Anko was dumbstruck for a moment and said, "Looks like the only weak ones you have are your two fiancés and Haku." Naruto activated his eyes and looked around for a moment and said, "Those three are probably closer to the strongest actually." Making Anko look at him like he was crazy. She asked how. Naruto sighed and said, "I'm about to tell you something that only the ones in this picture know. If you let it slip I will kill you. Only reason I am even telling you is that you and Iruka became like family to me and I want to see you both happy. That's why I am giving you a head start and with what all I'm doing neither of you will face that again." As he looked at her with the cold eyes of a seasoned killer and Anko knew he was telling the truth and nodded. Naruto said as he pointed to the picture that is Tsunade's apprentice and she makes Sakura look like a wimp. That is the former Jinchuriki of the Rikubi and is also what Itachi really looks like since they made her pretend to be a guy and that is the former Kyubi herself. In a low whisper making Anko wide-eyed and said, "What the fuck?" Naruto took Anko into the Kisune world and explained the truth about the Kyubi attack and Itachi's true story and then returned back and Anko said, "Your girl should kill all the Uchiha I think." After she listened to everything and knew the facts. Naruto said Sasuke needed it for now but we got a plan to deal with him. He won't die but he will wish that he was. Just wait. Anko nodded and said alright. I will play along, but I want pictures. Naruto said to Anko, when I'm done with Sasuke nobody will be able to look at him without laughing. Anko asked, what are you planning on doing with Konoha? I saw what they did to you and I would want revenge. Naruto sighed and looked down and said at first I did. I'm going to show Konoha something they have never seen out of me. My true strength and self. If they then decide they don't want me here then so be it, but Konoha won't be the same again. I won't even have to fight anyone with what I got planned and nobody will die, but Konoha will see that they made a mistake. Anko asked, what's the wave like? Naruto looked at her and asked, what do you mean? Anko said I know more than you think I do. I have a brother that lives there. I know you saved his life from Gato from the letter he wrote, though he calls you Arachner Cage. Naruto chuckled and said I see Kaiza, your brother. Anko nodded and said my parents are both shinobi. Dad took Kaiza as an apprentice and left me and mom here. We then got a letter saying that dad was dead and Kaiza was never returning. Mom died during a mission and I was orphaned thinking he was dead also. I ran into Kaiza about a year before he went to Wave and we sent letters to each other a few times a year. He did not trust you at first. Naruto said I know. Especially with what Gato would have done had we not intervened. Anko said he kept his word and made Wave beautiful and safe. I might like to see it sometime. Naruto smirked and said well there is going to be a wedding before the exams and I am still making the guest lists. Anko said, really, do I need to bring presents? Naruto said for your nephew, yes. He might kick your ass if you don't. Especially with Zabuza teaching him. Anko paled and said oh hell. And that's how the rest of the week went. Naruto worked on chakra control while Anko chit-chatted, finding out what was going on. She even started working on her own training. So far nobody had learned about the seal on her neck because her coat was hiding it. Just wait until the day of pranks begin for both of them. The day was a beautiful day in Konoha, the birds were chirping, kids were playing unless they had to be at the academy, people seemed to be in a generally good mood. If this day would have been Tsunade luck then it would have been winning the lottery multiple times. The third Raymond was doing paperwork when the door to his office opened and he heard the voice of Anko say in a sweet kind caring nature voice hello Raymond-sama. Making the third Raymond look up and pale at the sight in front of him. Anko stood there and it appeared she had her hair done to make it look more lively, makeup on to enhance her looks. Her clothing had been completely changed from her normal attire to a sunflower yellow dress that went down past her knees and fit on her to make her seem to have the elegance of someone born of royalty. Her dress was also long-sleeved to hide her arms and hide her figure, but also enhanced what you could see, making you try to imagine what she looked like underneath it. The third asked, Anko, is that you? Anko said yes, Raymond-sama, it's me. The third said sorry about that Anko, you look different. Anko said yes sir, I came here to request a mission. The third asked, really, what kind of mission? Anko said well you see. This week I got to know him pretty well and he told me about one of the instructors at the academy named Iruka. The third said yes, I know who you are talking about. What is it you need with him? Anko said well sir, I want to take him out for a date and see if he really is as good as he talks about. I was wondering if I should pay for a mission if you could let him have the day off since today is my only free day before I have missions. That's the mission I want to request sir. For him to escort me today. The third looked at her and asked what brought this change to Anko. Anko reached up to the top of her neck where a scarf was and undid it, earning a gasp from the third as he could see the curse seal was gone and he asked how. Anko said Gaki did it. Since I don't have that hanging over me anymore I thought a change would be nice and decided to date a decent guy instead of a fling. The third looked at her and said I see. I suppose I can humor you Anko since you hardly ever ask for anything and this is a special occasion so I won't even make you have to pay. When would you like to meet him? Anko looked at the clock and saw it was almost 8 and said, have him meet me at 10 o'clock at the dango shop I eat at. I will meet him there, but don't tell him who I am. Just tell him the person he is to escort will say it's nice to be free of the kids for a day. The third nodded and said okay, I will have him meet you there and it's nice to see you happy Anko. Anko said I have a reason to be now. As she turned and left the office. After Anko left, the third wrote a note out and handed it to an Abnu to give to Iruka. The third looked out the window and said Anko is not bloodthirsty and looks like a conservative royal woman. It's the end of the world. And he crawled under his desk afraid of what would happen next. Iruka was at the academy preparing for the day and several students had already arrived when an Abnu appeared and said Iruka, the Raymond asked me to give this to you. As he handed the note to Iruka. Iruka took it and read, Iruka, there is someone who has requested that you be here as an escort for the day. I have agreed to it because she is a good ninja and has recently been freed of a terrible pain in her life and she wants to start a new life. Naruto told her about you and she wants to meet you. Please do this as a favor for me. Meet her at Juju Dango shop at 10 and come dressed for a date. She will confront you and say it's nice to be free from the kids. Have Mizuki teach you today. Sandame Raymond. Iruka read it again and said okay Mizuki, I'm afraid that I won't be able to teach today, so please take over today. Sakura asked why won't you be here today, sensei? Iruka said I am supposed to escort someone. Have a good day. As he left the class. Outside the class someone was sitting in a tree and smirked to himself as he watched Iruka leave. He whispered perfectly. As he started to do hand signs. The bell rang in the academy and all the kids were looking at Mizuki, who was trying to figure out what to teach when the sky outside the academy suddenly turned dark like a solar eclipse and a thick mist started rolling into the class and Mizuki said what the hell. The dark chuckle could be heard as the mist covered the entire class but then started to thin and a figure could be seen standing in the fog dressed in a cloak and he said hello Sasuke. Remember me? In a cold voice that sent chills down everyone's spine. Sasuke asked, who are you? The figure reached up and pulled his hood back and everyone gasped. All of them had heard Sasuke bragging about Sasuke, but many thought that Sasuke was lying since he was not in jail. Sasuke said how, I killed you. The figure took a step toward Sasuke and said you're right Sasuke you did. As he stepped closer to Sasuke. Sasuke took a step back and Sakura asked in a stuttering voice since a small amount of Kai was being blasted across the room what's going on. Naruto said since Sasuke here decided to kill me, I decided to return the favor. As he moved closer to Sasuke. Mizuki never did like Naruto, so he pulled out a kunai and ran at Naruto and stabbed him in the back and Naruto's head turned completely around and he said won't work. As his head turned back around, scaring everyone because nobody's head would move like that. Naruto walked over and grabbed Sasuke lifting him into the air and said I should thank Sasuke. Now I will torture you in hell. As his eyes popped out his head and his skin started to crack making everyone back away since they all could see this happening. Sasuke tried to break free when smoke started coming off of Naruto's body where the cracks were and his skin was falling to the ground below and suddenly all the skin fell off when a small explosions of flames shot out of his head covering it, making everyone gasp as the flames surrounded a skull the Ghost Rider change, I don't own. Sasuke was freaking out and Naruto said yes, now I will torture you for days on end, I think I will start by peeling your flesh and feeding it to the hounds of hell. As more Kai was directed at Sasuke. Sasuke asked, what do you want? In a trembling voice, scared. Mizuki tried to attack again with a fire, but it only burned the cloak and Naruto said want to join us. As he squeezed Sasuke's arms tighter, making him scream. Naruto smirked and then screamed, jumping a step back and grabbing his stomach and he said, no master, he's coming. Making everyone look at him and Sasuke gets back scared. Suddenly Naruto fell to the ground on his back and his stomach exploded and out came a miniature Kyubbi making everyone's fear even worse and Kyubbi looked at Sasuke and held out his claws and knives popped out of his claws and Naruto said master, leave some for me please. As he fell back on the ground. Kyubbi said never human. I shall feast on his body like I do all murderers. Prepare to die. As he jumped toward Sasuke who fell on his ass covering his face and chest to protect himself when suddenly a click and a flash was heard and seen as Sasuke pissed himself and he looked and a photo was sticking out of Kyuubi's mouth and laughter could be heard from the window and everyone looked and Naruto said, and that class is the beauty of puppet masters. A good demonstration, don't you agree, old man? The third Raymond who was sitting next to him said yes Naruto. I think that everyone can see what a puppet can be capable of. No one in this class realized the person in front of them was a fake. Naruto walked over and moved his fingers and both puppets moved over to him and he grabbed the picture pocketing it and then sealed them and the third Raymond said okay class, I guess I will explain what happened. As Sasuke said he attacked and thought he killed Naruto a few weeks ago. The truth is all he killed was a clone. Naruto has been in the hospital but because an assassin snuck into the village and tried to kill him because of who his father is. That's why he has not been here. Naruto asked me when he got out if he could give an educational example of what one of Konoha allies specialize in and also prank Sasuke for trying to kill him from behind. I agreed and that is what you all saw here. The simple and some puppet mastery and he tricked the entire class as well as A. Now since Iruka is not here today and Naruto already gave you a lesson I decided that the rest of class is cancelled for the day. I got to go to Naruto. It's good to see you back on your feet. Naruto said thanks old man, but I was wondering, why were you under your desk when I came to your office? The third paled for a moment and said I dropped a mission scroll. Naruto nodded and said here I thought it was because of Anko. Oh well. Hey guys. As he walked over to his friends. Mizuki narrowed his eyes in anger and left the class and Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, Shino and Hinata walked over to him. Sasuke narrowed his eyes and said fight me. Naruto said to Sasuke, "You stink of piss, go change your clothes, you're not worth my time." As he turned his back on Sasuke. Sasuke pulled out a kunai and charged Naruto, who smirked, doing two one-handed hand seals, and suddenly there were three puffs of smoke and Sasuke collided with Sakura, falling on top of her, and instead of a kunai in his hand was now a rose. Sakura saw it and her fangirl brain reacted and she squealed and pulled Sasuke into a hug when she felt wet and her brain kicked in and she realized Sasuke piss was all over her and she was mortified. Naruto burst out laughing along with the rest of the class as he threw the hair placed with the rose and it landed in between Sasuke and Sakura legs and Naruto said, "At least you can say now, Sasuke, you've got something between your legs." Making everyone howl in laughter as Sakura turned red from embarrassment and Sasuke from anger. Ino said, "Don't talk about Sasuke-kun like that." Naruto smirked and said, "Ino, today is your lucky day. Today I will make you wet from excitement." Ino, being a pervert, realized what he meant and started to back up but tripped over a step and Naruto walked over and stood beside her and dropped a water balloon he pulled out of his pocket on her head, soaking her, and he said, "I told you I would make you wet from excitement. You got excited and laid down and I soaked you with a water balloon. If you want the other way, then you need to read my latest edition." As he dropped a book beside her, walking back toward the others. Sakura, who finally got up, said, "Who do you think you are? Sasuke-kun is better than you will ever be, so quit acting cool." Ino said, "Yeah," as she stood up pissed. Naruto smirked and said, "So you say Duckbit over there is better than everyone at everything, huh?" As he looked at the two girls who agreed. Naruto said to Sasuke, "You still want to fight me?" Sasuke smirked and said, "Definitely." Naruto said, "Then I have a deal for all three of you." Sakura blinked and asked, "What kind of deal?" Naruto said simply, "I propose 3 challenges. If Sasuke can beat me at any one of those 3 challenges, then I will fight him. If he loses all 3 challenges, you two fangirls have to pay a punishment." Ino asked, "What kind of punishment?" Naruto said, "If I win all 3, then you, Ino, will have to date someone of my choosing for 1 month and you have to treat him like you would Sasuke. If you don't, you will have to wash every dog in the Kyubbi family." Making Kaiba smirk and Ino pale. Ino said, "What do I get if Sasuke wins? I'm a little nervous." Naruto smirked and said, "Nervous are we? Perhaps you don't have as much faith in Mr. Perfect over there as you claim. Alright. If Sasuke beats me in one of the 3 challenges, I will be your personal servant for 1 week, doing anything and everything you want, including paying for all of your shopping. Do you accept it?" Ino said, "Of course." As she got stars in her eyes thinking of the shopping. Naruto pulled out a scroll and wrote on it and said, "Sign here." As he held out a pen. Ino blinked and said, "Huh." Naruto said, "This is a contract. It is proof of what our deal is, so that either you will have to do as we agreed in the bet or you will lose your ninja license and be kicked out of the academy, never to be a ninja. All 3 of you along with me will have to sign it to prove our bets." Ino looked nervous and Naruto said, "Not so confident now, are we? You know Duckbits are going to lose." Ino sneered and took the pen, signed it and threw the pen back at Naruto. Naruto looked at Sakura and said, "Now you, Sakura. You also think Sasuke is perfect and cannot lose at anything, so here is the proposal I have for you. If Sasuke cannot beat me at least once in a challenge, then you will not be allowed to say his name or talk about him for an entire month. If you utter his name once, you lose, since your word would be worthless and be kicked out of the academy." Sakura said, "I got the idea. What do I get if I win?" Naruto said, "What do you want?" Sakura said, "You will have to leave and never return to Konoha." Naruto said, "Deal." As he wrote it down and handed her the pen, which she signed. Naruto looked at Sasuke and Sasuke said, "What are the challenges?" Naruto said, "Since we want to be ninjas, the 3 challenges are this. The first one, you and I must sneak into the woman hot springs, get something that belongs to each woman there that is within 3 feet of her, and it has to be something personal, so everyone can prove it is that woman's, whether it is her panties, a piece of hair, her signature, anything that can be traced back to each woman there. You must also escape without being beat up by the woman at the hot springs, and it is the Knucklehead hot spring that we have to do it at. You can use anything at your disposal, including ninjutsu and weapons, to get the item and escape. If the woman chases after you and you force you out of the hot spring, as long as they chase you, then the contest is still going. If you don't get an item from each woman within an hour, then you lose. This is an infiltration mission for an item." Sasuke said, "What's the other 2? Naruto said, "The next one is a capture test. There is a cat known to everyone in this village named Tora. You must capture her by any means necessary and show them to the witnesses." Sasuke said, "What witnesses?" Naruto looked around and said, "Everyone in this class is going to be a witness. They will watch us enter the hot spring from the woods and they will be at a restaurant eating when we bring Tora in. First one to bring Tora to them wins. Even if you have to kidnap it from the Fire Lord's wife." Making everyone wide-eyed. Ino asked in a stuttering voice, what's the third test? Naruto said it's a simple speed, precision, endurance test. There is a club called Rhubarb Dungeon across town. I will get us all in so don't worry. At 4 o'clock every day they have a happy hour where drinks are half price. Now I know you don't know drinks very well Sasuke, so don't think that's the test. What we have to do is work for tips during the happy hour. There will be 2 jars with our names on it. You have to get the customers to pay you tips on top of the drink price that goes in the cash register. The manager will watch both of us to ensure we don't mess the drinks up and get the money for the drinks and make sure one of us doesn't cheat. If you can get 1/4 of the tips I do by the time happy hour is over then you win and I have to fight you however you want. Even if I have to have my hands tied behind my back. Sasuke asked, what do you get if you win the challenges? Naruto said simply, you can't challenge me to a fight outside the spars and you can't follow me until we graduate from the academy. Sasuke smirked and said deal. Naruto quickly wrote the details down and he said okay, all clan heirs who are not involved in this bet please come up and sign this as witnesses so that way it will be legal. As he looked around. After everyone was done Naruto said to Kiba, you hold on to this. Oh, and in case I forgot to mention, neither Ino or Sakura can tell anyone about the contest going on. If you do then Sasuke automatically loses that round. Got it Ino and Sakura. As he handed Kiba the contract. Both girls said yeah, we got it. Kiba said I hope you know what you're doing man. Naruto said I got things under control. Everyone meets at the Knucklehead Hot Springs in 15 minutes. As he walked out of the class heading there. Ino walked over and said I hope Sasuke wins. Sakura said don't worry, he will. As she formed a plan. Naruto was walking through town when he heard Anko and he entered the restaurant where Iruka and Anko were eating and he looked at both and said I hope you're both having a great dinner. Iruka spit out his drink and said Naruto, you're back. Anko said yeah, remember me telling you he talked about you. Iruka nodded and asked, why are you not in class? Naruto said I gave a demonstration on Suna puppet use and the Raymond gave the class the rest of the day off. Right now I have a challenge against the Uchiha. If I win you won't have to worry about Sakura and Ino screaming about Sasuke for a whole month. Iruka's eyes lit up and he asked what happens if you lose. Naruto said I have to fight Sasuke, be Ino's servant for a week and then leave Konoha forever. We even drew up a contract, but I won't lose. Anko asked, what's the challenge? Naruto explained the first one and she said you do know that is a Kunoichi hot spring right? Naruto said you do know I own it right? Making both eyes wide-eyed. Anko smirked and said what's the other 2? Naruto explained them and Iruka said we will be there for the last one. Naruto nodded and said I should warn you. I got some unusual talents I picked up around Jiraiya. As he walked away leaving 2 confused adults. Kakashi passed Naruto with Rin on his arm though she was in her henge and he said where are you heading to? Naruto asked Anko and Iruka. As he flamed away. Kakashi looked confused and looked inside and got wide-eyed and he said I think porn has ruined my brain. Look at Anko. Rin looked and paled at the sight of Anko. She took a step back and walked into Asuma who said pardon me miss. Kakashi said, Asuma, is that Anko? As he pointed out. Asuma looked and blinked and pulled out the cigarette and looked at it and then back at Anko and then dropped the cigarette along with the pack and stomped on them and said I smoked something else. As he turned and walked away. Kakashi looked at Rin and both backed away slowly. Iruka looked where Anko was looking and asked is something wrong with Anko? Anko said they act like I've never worn a dress before. Iruka said oh, just ignore them. So tell me more about this crazy kid that does a chicken dance. Anko said his name is Raymond and he wears orange and shouts believe it everywhere. It was hilarious. Iruka said I wish I could meet him. He sounds like me, as a kid. Anko said you might someday. When Naruto arrived he saw everyone there and he looked at Sasuke and said you want to go first or together what? Sasuke ignored him and started walking inside doing hand signs and Naruto smirked as he said one bloody bastard coming right up. As he walked about 20 feet behind Sasuke changing his clothes to look like a business suit. Sasuke used the cloak of invisibility and Naruto walked over to the desk and said hello Mrs. Tiro. Mr. Nunkase. My assistant Nermi told me that several of the other hot springs around town have had a string of peeping toms sneaking in. The woman behind the counter got wide-eyed and said I haven't heard anything about it sir. Naruto said relax, I want you to accompany me back to the hot springs and notify the woman to cover themselves while I come and talk to them. I want their help in catching this pervert. Mrs. Tiro said yes sir. Follow me and I will guide you. As she walked out from behind the counter and led them toward the back. Kiba asked what was that about. I could not hear what they were saying. Since they were nearly 200 yards away. Sasuke was hidden when all of a sudden a cut his arm and he gasped, dropping his cloak, and a shout of pervert, and he saw a red-eyed woman coming toward him followed by others, and they started to beat him into the ground. After a few moments Mrs. Tiro came around the corner and saw this and said, "Ladies, cover yourself. The owner is here and he needs to talk to you about that right there," pointing to Sasuke. Several of the ladies kicked Sasuke, who was on the ground, one last time and then covered themselves, and Mrs. Tiro said, "Come on out, Mr. Case." Naruto walked around and said, "I see he has been caught, huh? I was coming to ask you ladies for some help since several other hot springs in town have reported a pervert spying on the woman. I never thought it would be my fellow classmate Sasuke Uchiha though. Shame, shame." Kurenai asked, "What's going on?" as she looked at him and Sasuke. Naruto said, "Mrs. Tiro, can you get me a clipboard and a pen real fast?" Mrs. Tiro nods and leaves, and Naruto says, "Well, since you all caught him already, I will reward each of you with a free week's pass at the hot spring here as my way of saying thanks and sorry for the pervert. If any of you have a suggestion for better security, please tell Mrs. Tiro and she can tell my business manager." Kurenai said, "What should we do with him?" Naruto said, "Pick him up for a moment." Several of the ladies did, and Naruto got behind him and said, "Konoha's secret to jutsu 1000 years of death." As he shoved his fingers into Sasuke's ass while channeling chakra into them, launching him into the air and over the wall. Mrs. Tiro walked back out with a clipboard and Naruto said, "Please everyone sign your name and your address here so I can have my assistant Nermi send that pass I promised to you." Each of the women did, and Naruto said, "Thank you ladies, and are any of you by chance fans of the Hermit Diary series?" Kurenai said, "That's where I know you from. You're the author." Naruto said, "Yeah, that's right. If you ladies like, I can send you all a free copy of my latest edition also." After they all agreed, he said, "Sorry about the pervert and the interruption. Have a nice day." As he walked out and saw Sasuke rubbing his ass while Sakura and Ino were teaching him, Naruto walked out and said each of the ladies' names and addresses. "I guess that means I won the first challenge, huh?" Sakura said, "That was not fair to Sasuke-kun. You cheated by ratting him out." Naruto said, "Has anyone looked at the sign up there? It said Kunoichi only, which means each of the women there are ninja. One of them happens to be the mistress of Konoha, Kurenai Yuhi." Sasuke tried to get in using basic academy skills that any ninja would detect. "I however used information and my brains to aid in my mission, so don't blame me. On missions you can't always sneak into places to get in. Sometimes you have to have knowledge of the target and their behaviors. You also sometimes have to put a member of your team in danger to complete a mission. Each of you girls here may someday have to take Cartesian classes, which means you will have to sleep with people to get information or to kill a target. You may have to sacrifice your life so your team can finish it for you also. You should know better than anyone here, Ino, since your family allows you to take over enemies' bodies and go into their bases and homes. If you had no information to aid you, then you could be killed. Correct?" Ino sighed and said yes. Naruto smiled and said, "Okay, next task. Tora, or would you rather quit now, Sasuke, and call me the winner?" With a smile on his face. Tiba asked, "Hey, what was the thing about the suit man?" Naruto smiled and said, "Oh, I own this place so I went in as the manager like Ino could have if her family could work on me." Everyone was wide-eyed and Sasuke said, "Let's find that damn cat." As he started looking for it, Naruto smirked and said, "Okay, all of you go to the burning pork restaurant. I will meet you there and order what you want. I will pay for it." Everyone was wide-eyed because that was one of the most popular and expensive restaurants in town. Naruto waited until they were gone and he smirked as he disappeared in a flame to appear on the Ramen monument. He looked around and bit his thumb and did hand signs before rubbing the blood across the cat and said, "Summoning Jutsu Tora." And suddenly a puff of smoke appeared and Tora looked around and meowed. Across town a few moments earlier, Sasuke had caught sight of Tora and was chasing her and was about to grab her when he jumped and she disappeared in a puff of smoke. He went through the smoke and into a pile of trash. Back on top of the monument, Naruto said, "Relax, Tora." Calico and Tabby said hello. Tora stopped running and looked back and Naruto showed her his arm and said, "I got the contract from the former Jinchuriki of Nibi." Tora said, "So that was a summon. Who are you?" Naruto said, "Naruto Namikaze, former Jinchuriki of Kyubbi." Tora asked, "Why did you summon me?" Naruto said, "Right now I want to introduce myself to you and offer you a deal. I know how missions are given to capture you for the Fire Lord's wife. If my team is ever after you, there is a boy named Sasuke Uchiha. I want you to claw and bite him every chance you get. In return I will carry any treat you want sealed in a scroll to give to you as payment." Tora thought for a moment and said, "Salmon. I want a salmon." Naruto nodded and said, "I will have one for you the next time I summon you. For now I have a challenge going on with Sasuke to capture you. I am going to take you to a restaurant and you act like you normally do. Sometime this week I will get 2 salmon as payment for this." Agreed. Tora said agreed. I like Unamikas. Naruto said thanks. Let's go. As he picked her up and flames to the restaurant. Naruto appeared outside the restaurant and walked in petting the cat and said looks like I won again. Just as he was about to sit down to eat, Sasuke walked in fuming looking at the cat and said I don't know how, but that cat went up in smoke earlier. Naruto said you're crazy Sasuke. Eat. You will need your energy later. Suddenly a shout of my youthful friends. I see the cat. And everyone looked and Naruto said so Team Guy was told to capture you Tora. The cat meowed in a tired voice and Lee walked in and saw Naruto and said oh Naruto-kun, your flames of youth burn brightly. Naruto smiled and said thanks Lee. I guess you are here for Tora huh? Benton walked in and was wide-eyed and said you're alive. Nobody would tell us what happened after you knocked me out. Naruto said I got poisoned and was in the hospital. Oh by the way, I talked to Tsunade and she said if you wanted to learn it, she would send her scrolls. Benton beamed with pride and said of course. Naruto said so have you and Lee gone on a date yet? Benton blushed and said actually we went on several. Naruto blinked and said okay that was unexpected. I'm happy for you both. Care to join us? I said, I would like to, but we need to finish our mission. Naruto who was still petting Tora reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet and grabbed a $100 bill said okay, since I caught Tora for my own reasons and she has been a good cat, I will give her to you if you will take this money and buy her a salmon to eat on the way back to the ramen office. If you give her time to eat it then you can split the rest of the money amongst yourself for the time wasted. Agreed. Niji said I agree though my uncle wishes to talk to you and ask how you created that based on our ultimate defense. Naruto said okay, tell Hiyashima that I will see him Friday to discuss it after school. Oh, and before I forget at 4 o'clock Sasuke and I are having a small challenge at the Rhubarb dungeon. Come and see our stuff. Niji nods and says, Hinata-sama. Hinata said to Niji, we're family finally, you don't have to call me Sama. In a stuttery voice. Niji said, as you wish for Hinata-san. Let's go. As he got Tora and left with the money. Naruto sighs and orders his food and eats while chatting. After everyone was done the waiter brought over the check and Naruto grabbed it and looked at it before he pulled out some money and paid, smiling. Ino looked confused and asked how do you have so much money and why are you smiling? Naruto said I own this restaurant so all the money I spent will come back to me anyways minus labor cost. Shocking everyone. Shikamaru asked, what else do you own? Naruto said I own every grocery store in Konoha, both banks, 3 hot springs, 5 bars, 2 nightclubs, 7 apartment complexes, 12 restaurants, and a few other places like clothing stores and whatnot. Why? Everyone was wide-eyed and stunned. Sakura asked how do you have so much money and how much do you have? Trying to find out if he was lying. Naruto sighed and bit his thumb and ran it across the scroll on his arm and said bank ledger. And out popped a huge book and he flipped through it about halfway and he said well my shipping business made 2 million last year. I get 1 million for every book I publish and I have published 26 so far. My Konoha businesses make 11 million a year on average. My 4 casinos make close to 10 million a year each. My winery makes 1 million a year on average. My wave businesses make around 1 million since I only have a couple there. My weapon distribution stores make around 30 million a year minus labor and then all the other little things I am into. Why? As he closed it and sealed it back up seeing shocked faces. Ino said, can I have a loan? Naruto said your dad already has one out with me so sorry, unless of course I lose the next challenge, but so far I am winning 2-0. One more and Ino has to date someone of my choosing and she has to treat him like Sasuke or she forfeits her ninja career and Sakura won't be able to talk about Sasuke. Man, I can already hear the silence. Toji said, hey, why are you treating all of us if you don't mind me asking? Naruto said what are friends for? Someday I may want a home-cooked meal or some tea with some friends, so why not treat you all now? Almost everyone smiled. Sasuke and Sakura didn't. Naruto tensed as he felt a pair of arms circle around his neck from behind and he said I hope my fiancé doesn't find out about this. With his eyes closed. The voice said I don't think one of them will mind, do you? In a sultry voice. Naruto turned and kissed the lips next to him, making everyone gape and a voice said man, can you do that in your own room? Naruto broke the kiss and said shut it sushi. So what are you doing here? As he looked at Kisame, Nan, Taiya and Kamimuro. Nan said somehow the council found out about me and requested I come to Konoha to explain why I never returned. Naruto nodded and said I wonder how they found out about you. Only 5 people including me know about you. As everyone sat down and ordered some food. Sasuke looked at Nan and said who are you? In a demanding voice. Taiya said shut the fuck up you fucktard. I bet you're a cocksucking whore. Just looking at you makes me want to fucking throw up you fucking emo fucker. making several people blush or look shocked. Naruto said a new record for Taiya is only 8 cuss words. Are you sick or something? Taiya said fuck you fucking fucker, I should fucking shove a dam up your fucking ass you fucking cocksucker. Naruto said damn, remind me to invent a seal that works outside of the waves for her dear. Sasuke said I demand you tell me who you are. Nan looked at him and said maybe later. So what are you doing here right now? Ignoring Sasuke. Naruto said oh emo boy here decides he wants to fight me, so I got a little bit going on. If I win one more time then he can't challenge me to a fight and Pinky can't talk about Sasuke and Blondie here and has to date someone of my choosing. Nan nodded and Kisum said so who do you think found out about Nan? No one outside of the wave has mentioned anything. Naruto said who knows, it was only a matter of time anyways though I do wonder why the council would request it and not the old man. I know he knows about her and all, but he would not bring that up. Shikamaru asked, what are you talking about Naruto? Naruto said oh, where are my manners everyone, this is one of my fiancés Nan this is everyone. Nan said pleasure. Toji said you're the man that makes all that delicious food. Nan said I guess. Hiba asked, who are these other three? Naruto said Sushi here is Kisum, former member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and sensei of Team Water. Then you all have met the lovely Taiya of the Fuma clan, and then we have Kamimuro Kagaya, last member of the Kagaya clan, and their famous bloodline, and you all know Nan here. Everyone was awed by the 3 people since they all knew the famous Fuma clan and Kisum. Shino asked, what rank are you? Nan said well until the exams next year all of us are considered genin except Kisum here. Then after the exams we each are going to be promoted to jounin no matter what so we can help train the next batch of academy students. Naruto groaned and said don't remind me. Inari is in that bunch and I just found out his aunt is Anko. Nan spit out her drink and paled and she said please tell me you're joking. Naruto said Anko's brother is the guy we saved from Geto. Nan groaned and said let me guess, she wants to come see Wave. Naruto said yeep. Shino said I believe it is almost 4 PM so we should be heading to the club. Naruto said thanks Shino and remember I still have to teach you 4 later than I promised before I got attacked. Each of the 4 smiled at each other and Sasuke asked what. Naruto ignored him and led the way toward the club. As they approached they saw Kakashi and Rin standing outside with Iruka and Anko and Kakashi raised an eyebrow and Naruto and Nan and said who is this Naruto? Naruto said this is Nan Kakashi, the council found out about her somehow. You all come to see the show. Rin said yes. Anko met us and told us all about the challenge, so we wanted to see and I already talked to the owner about the deal, so let's go in. Naruto nods and opens the door and everyone walks in and he walks toward the bar and Sasuke follows and Naruto says hi, I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze or none case. This is Sasuke and I was told you already know the deal. The guy looked at him and said my name's Rufus and yeah, I heard about it. You have about 3 minutes to get ready. I hope you know what you're doing. Naruto walks behind the counter and grabs some gin and some coconut juice with some pineapple juice and did a little flair with the gin bottle and mixed them together before pouring a glass and slapped the mixers against the counter, causing them to spin in the air and he grabbed the glass downing it and grabbed the mixers and slammed them face down and said, let's do this. Shocking everyone. Sasuke walked behind the counter and Rufus said, this should be good. Naruto smirks and asks if you have a band. Rufus said not lately, why? Naruto said people drink more when they have music to dance and party to. And he created 5 Kagebunshin and had them go up to the stage and they started tuning the instruments. Nan smirked and Ino asked, what are you so happy about? Nan said oh, if I knew Narutoken. He is about to own Sasuke. The clock on the wall clicked to 3:59 and Naruto put his hands in a seal and said sexy no jutsu. And he changed into a female with a white tank top and a pair of black bicycle shorts shocking everyone and then 4 o'clock hit. Sasuke was still trying to figure out what Naruto was up to when the band started to play. I was thinking Nickelback songs, Hero, Rockstar, Animals, Photograph, and Next Contestant. As Animals started to play the door burst open and around 50 people could be seen coming in and Sasuke got wide-eyed. Well Naruto I am going to say Naruto, but it's Naruto until I said otherwise smirked and said okay boys, let's get this party started. I got suicides, shooters, body shots, you name it, and it's wet and hard I got it so come on and give me some orders and I don't do change, so make sure you know the money you give me, because tips are wanted. Iruka asked, has Naruto ever worked in a bar before? As he gaped at the sight. Nan sighed and said just be glad Jiraiya is not here. Naruto when he was training with him had to work for tips to pay Jiraiya $3,000 liquor bill. Naruto got good enough to make that in tips in an hour. Sakura, who was counting her money, paled when she heard that and she went over and said Sasuke-kun, give me a coke. Sasuke fed and got a coke and Sakura shoved all her money into his hands and said beat him. as he put it in the jar after paying Rufus. Naruto had the mixers balancing on the tip of his shoe as he danced to the song while pouring 15 straight shots and drinking every third one while collecting the money before he flipped the mixers in the air, caught it behind his back, threw it over his shoulder, grabbing 5 glasses he caught the mixers and pulled them apart, pouring the drinks in all 5 glasses. Kakashi whistled at this and said remind me to bring him along the next time we need a party. Naruto collected the payments and put the money in the jar while grabbing a 6-pack, throwing them in the air, throwing 3 into them, causing them to spray over his shirt, making everyone see that black sports bra underneath. She then said okay, I got body shots here for anyone who wants to drink, one will be $9. Any takers? And no change. Several men started taking out money and Naruto did one. Well, he grabbed a bottle of whiskey, broke it on the counter, pulled a match out, striking it, setting the whiskey on fire, and he used an ice to freeze the flames, using a putting 10 holes in it, and said okay, 1 flaming ice whiskey, $4 for all you can drink with a straw. As he put a straw in all 10 holes. Several men and 1 woman came over and paid for it, giving Naruto $5, giving him $1 tips each, as they drank the whiskey that was cool and had not been burned with the rest. Naruto did a few more body shots while the band started Rockstar, and when they got to bleach blonde hair, they pointed to Ino, who fumed. Sasuke tried to get some people, but besides Sakura he only had 1 person and they gave no tip. He was fuming as he watched Naruto beat him again and he decided to try something himself, so he grabbed a whiskey bottle and tried to flip it behind his back only to knock himself out. Nan slapped her forehead and muttered idiot. As the hour ended, Naruto was sweating and Rufus walked over and said, well Mr. Namikaze, I have to admit that was one of the best hauls I have seen in a long time. $12,000 in liquor sold and you have around $7,000 in tips. Will JR over there has $210, making you the winner. Naruto nodded and said that was fun. Now if you will excuse me. I got some friends to entertain me. As he grabbed several shot glasses, 2 bottles of sake and 1 whiskey. Naruto walked over and said well I won the bet and the golden boy knocked himself out. Now Choji, take this jar of tips and use it well since you and Ino will be going out. Ino was wide-eyed and pale and Choji also got wide-eyed. Ino started to say something and Naruto said now Ino, give him a chance. Just go on 5 dates and if you don't like him afterwards you can break up, but he can take you to the movies or shopping or whatever you both decide. Okay, since I gave the beer to the idiots who came in, let's have some whiskey for my men here. As he poured everyone a glass. Sakura said, we're too young to drink. Naruto said old enough to kill, old enough to drink, except you Lee. This is for you. As he handed me a bottle of water. Lee asked, why can't I have whiskey? Naruto said I did some research on you Lee and found out that you can't use chakra. I also found out that if your body gets alcohol in it you can in small doses, which makes me believe you are a drunken master. I would suggest keeping a small bottle of sake on you if you ever face someone like numbnuts on the ground behind the bar and drink it. That way if you are a drunken master your moves can't be copied and you can kick his ass. Lee smirked and said really? Naruto said yeah Lee, so no alcohol unless you have to. Deal. Lee said deal. As they all drank and talked everyone was relaxed, though the ones who knew Hunan was wondered how the council found out. Only time would tell. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.